Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NECC Rocket League Week number 4. My name is Bass in the Past, joined alongside by none other than Hypheria. And Hype, we are here to kick off the B stream today, and we are going to kick it off with Howard Community College versus Johnson and Wales University. I'm excited to get into this one. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday, my friend?
I'm doing great. Of course I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to this. It's a Tuesday, and that means NECC as usual. And it's just a pleasure to be back every single time.
It really is, and it's going to be an exciting pleasure here today because of the fact that we've got a long day ahead of us here on the B stream. 4 whole matches, including this first one, like we said. And this should be an interesting back and forth. Both of these teams, though, coming in at, I'd say, a little bit of different odds here. HCC are currently 1-2 on the season. They have not necessarily had the greatest start, taking a loss against Alvernia, and taking a win against Springfield, then taking another loss against Army West Point. Then you look at the other side for Johnson and Wales. Well, they've taken a win versus Springfield as well, and taken a win versus Army West Point, and taken a win against Holy Cross. They are currently undefeated on the season. So, as much as this is going to be an underdog story here for Howard Community College, I still believe in them to get this one done.
Neither team is laying down easy, or at least getting the victory easily as well. Every single one of those is hard fought, being a loss with 1-3 as well. So at least they are able of fighting back. But I think the crucial part in this entire exchange is that both having a win against Springfield College, and well, one of them losing against Army of West Point, but that could just be up to the day. So even though Howard are in a 1-2 record and JWU are in a 3-0 record, I still think this is going to be a close affair.
Yeah, I would say that this is still going to be pretty close. So like you said, none of these guys are walking away unscathed for either side here. And besides just not walking away unscathed, the bigger thing for me about the two teams is the fact that we have them also beating the same team at the same record. I really do feel like we have to emphasize that. It just kind of shows they are relatively at the same level here. So I'm excited to get in this one, High Fury. We're about to kick it off. It is best of 5 here to determine the winner of this one. Again, you always got to appreciate that here at the NECC. The league play continues to stay the same format every single time that we come back into this one. And for all of these teams, they better be prepared here on the day.
Oh, you have to be. And well, there's a lot of teams or a lot of players on the team roster, and I think it's good to get a better overview of who actually is playing today, so we can kind of make up our draw and see whether they have some experience, see what roster they're rocking here today, and what they're coming into the game with.
Yeah, let's take a look at those rosters here. Let's start off with Howard Community College. The Dragons here today, the first team that we will be taking a look at. We've got JR, Errand, and Bling Blong.
Perfect. That's the best name I've ever seen. Bling Blong.
I don't think that's Expert, because you and I do know Expert the player. If it ends up being Expert, and I said Bling Blong for no reason, Expert, I'm coming for your DMs after this one.
Expert is also with a U.
This is true. That is a different Expert usually, so
I
this
kind of
could
want to
be entirely different.
remove the Expert part. I want to just call him Bling Blong. Bling Blong!
That's the worst variation of that I think I've ever heard. It really, I don't know if I can be complimentary of that. I mean, hey, listen, each their own. Everybody's got their own unique names. Bling Blong is definitely one I have not heard before, though. Regardless, there's another team we got to focus on as well. On the other side, Johnson and Wales University here. And this is going to be Parcels, Wi-Fi, and Stoops.
Purcell's going to be a crucial factor. I've seen him play for the JWU side before, and he has shown up massively. So I want to see him do that again today, but it's always tough to try and duplicate a previous performance.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, especially when the pressure is on. Like we said, Johnson and Wales are currently 3-0 on the season, so they do not want to give that up against a squad like this. It's not going to be easy. As we mentioned, both of them really have been solid throughout this entire season. So I'm excited to see what they can provide, what they can bring to the table here as they get into this first match. Just about to start this one up. Here we go. Howard Community College against Johnson and Wales University. 5 minutes on the clock and 5 games to play this one out. Let's see who's got this one in the bag, Hypheria.
We're going to see which bag it is going to be in. Stoops. Try and carry that all the way down the other end, and it's about starting off solidly, starting off well, and JWU want to do that by moving down the other end. Dragons are just going to be a bit more defensive minded right now, and I do like that. At the start of the series, just take a little bit more of a defensive approach, see what your opponents can do, and see what you can do to counter it.
That's the big thing here, especially when you know you're coming into this one, the heavy favorites. Oh my word! Is try and play this one carefully, but when you get a chance, you're gonna have to strike Stoops and Purcell's to open up the scoreline.
And Stoops, he's not going to miss with Aaron stumbling along the line. And it's something that we don't have the exact info on, which is unfortunate, is to see with what team, with what lineup they managed to get the victory, with what lineup they managed to take a loss here or take a more impressive victory. So, because that does kind of spell out what is a strong squad together. It doesn't necessarily mean the individual performance, but it just means that they are incredible at working together.
Yeah, that's the big thing here is that we do have to highlight the normal roster for Howard Community College is 5 different players. No, 6, excuse me, different players. 4 on the side of JWU makes it, you know, not necessarily as large of a roster, but still a pretty large roster at that. Today, they've only got the 3 that we were expecting here on both sides, and I appreciate that Expert has the full name. Expert Bling Blong, the entirety of their name is on display.
Bling Blong. That's the only thing you're going to hear out of me. I'm not going to call them Expert. I refuse to. Even if I get a battering from production or a battering from the fans and they want to hear Expert, no, I'm calling him Bling Blong.
Oh, well, I'll leave you to your adventures, Hypheria. And, well, I'll leave the teams to play this one out here as they go back and forth. 3 minutes remaining. JWU have held on to their 1-0 lead here, but definitely not for a lack of trying. There has been a lot of shots going back and forth here. Dragons almost able to break through there, but JR just a little bit too underneath that ball. So they can't get the follow-up touch and sets up to Aaron out at midfield. Tries to get a good 50-50, but Purcell's now has been given time and space on the wall, or maybe not that much time. Expert right up to them will get in their face. We'll get this off the half, and ooh, they will allow a shot out of Stoops. JWU right now looking very threatening, and the Dragons looking very uncomfortable on defense.
JWU, they've got a measured approach here. They don't overstep their mark. They nicely measure it out every single time to see how far they can push up, and while also keeping that defensive side in check, and that's an important part for the JWU side. On the side of the Dragons, partial with a miss, so I guess that does mitigate any damage that could possibly be done by him. But Dragons, they're making an advance into the center. Aaron, incredibly far around. Bling Blong just takes it back.
All the way back, and is going to try to restart the play yet again here. It feels like JWU right now have a lot of good offensive pressure. They don't want to exert themselves too much here. They recognize that with 2 minutes remaining, if the Dragons can find an equalizer, all of a sudden, they're going to have to try and play this one from behind. Do not want to do that. Oh, instead, they'll actually start popping shots across court here. Stoops almost able to get one past the defense. Not quite able to, but the Dragons now, they're going to have to thank their lucky stars. It's been multiple shots that probably should have sunk into the back of their net. It's somehow, some way, they'll find shots on the other end. They will stay in this one. No goal to their name, Hypheria, but with 90 seconds to go, the Dragons are turning up the offense.
JWU, they've been able to swat it away and actually move it down the other end. Bling Blong able to 50 with Stoops. Stoops, yeah, getting up for it, trying to run interference here. The Wi-Fi actually extends into the center. Purcell's on the prowl, shot with an angle. JR misses out on it, and that's an opportunity going to arrive for JWU, but they want to amend it and get it right back in their favor. The trickles into the center. Purcell's missing an open net, and JWU, unfortunately, they can't continue their advance.
Oh, that's got to hurt a little bit there. They had a huge chance to put this game away. Instead, they've now left the door wide open, and the Dragons can try and come back. 1 minute to go here. They've got a good offense building, but can someone find the shot? No, Aaron can only find the pass, but Stoops will send it to the backboard on the other end and send it to Purcell's, who puts it into the top right. 2-0 here, JWU. I think they've secured themselves game number 1.
It's looking like the more likely option, at least. They have been the team that has been on the attack the majority of the time as well. The Dragons, they are more relying on those one-off opportunities where they have to break through, and all of a sudden they find themselves an opportunity. But JWU, they're more consistent with creating those, so it's really up to Dragons to try to up their accuracy, to really point every shot that they take and bang it into the back of the net.
They really also need to start getting some shots at that. It's not just the fact that they are not accurate with their shots, but it's also, unfortunately, the fact that they have had so far and few between in this game in comparison to JWU, who are just unrelenting with their offensive pressure. 20 seconds to go here. This one's all but wrapped up, and there could be a goal for the road here for the Dragons just to instill some confidence, but as they are just facing even more shots at a JWU yellow, I'm thinking that this one is all but over. Through the sky, JR will take this, but they're not going to be able to change the results no matter what. Wi-Fi spikes this one to the ground, and actually Purcell's Gonna keep this up. I think they want one more for the road, Hyperia, and they will not find it. Shot off target, but the result is the same. JWoo Yellow take game number 1.
I've always found this a peculiar thing. I'm not too sure whether this is just me being silly, my EU brain being silly, or you being silly even. But it feels, when you say it's all but over.
What about it?
It doesn't. It feels like it doesn't make sense to me.
So, all right, okay. This one, yes, I love doing this. Phrase explanation is always fun for me. Okay, all but over. It is literally everything that is happening, like everything is concluded, except for it is over with, basically. So the clock hasn't hit 0, so everything in the game is over. There's no changing to the outcome. There's no change in anything going on, but it's not quite over yet. And that's the main thing, is that, like, when we say all but over, that's basically telling you, hey, man, the game is chalked. Try again next time.
It comes across to me as if it's all but over. It's still very much alive.
Yeah, I don't really think that's how the phrase. I mean, it could be. That's not usually how
it's all but over for this goal, though.
Well, yeah, kind of the phrasing for there. The goal had already happened, but yeah, the goal is all but over now. I mean, actually, no, it is over now. The goal is in. Wi-Fi finds the first.
Phrasing and linguistics, it's always interesting. Linguini, an important part of that as well. But the Dragons, they've not had their dinner just yet. JWoo are moving into the attacking stance yet again and look to dish out some punches.
Oh my, oh my. I don't really know if Linguini have that many good, can throw up good fists. But, you know, yeah, they can get a couple of good fights in here and there. 4:20 left on the clock here. JWoo have held on to their lead, but they haven't gotten out of the first minute. They haven't gotten out of their half in quite some time either. The Dragons starting to put on some good pressure. JR trying to put a shot on target, but can't really do too much with it. As this one is boomed all the way to the other half, I think, I was going to say, I think that JWoo should be able to clear this one, but a little bit of a whiff there might actually give some extra pressure now to the Dragons.
Wow, with an opportunity, JR, it arises for him as well, but also his horizon goes down and not a goal in sight just yet. Purcell's actually backing down. Good call off there by Stoops. You see it on the side of JWoo. They are communicating with each other, and they're doing it properly as well. Not having a mishap, no real double commits, and the Dragons, it's an opportunity with Bling Bong, popped it behind his car.
A little bit unfortunate here as the Dragons are getting more and more pressure almost every single time that they move into this offense, but the unfortunate truth is that they haven't really been able to do much with it. They actually haven't been able to do anything with it throughout this series. This is about 7 or 8 minutes going on of gameplay without a single goal in their favor. So they need to try and find something, just penetrate the back of that net and give them that opening goal for the series. Uh-oh, and they also have to make sure they don't concede on the other end. Purcell's with a breakaway play, denied by the defense. With 3 minutes remaining and a 1-0 lead, JWoo, if they find another here, that will be detrimental to the Dragons.
It's a pass off to the center, but Soups, he can only swat it wide to remain in possession. Purcell's over the ceiling, loses control of his car entirely. It is a pesky lover there on the ceiling. You want to go up to it because it seems enticing, but every single time it's just punishing because your entire view is upside down and you lose track of thought, you lose track of your car, and you don't lose track of this goal. Surely, how is that not in?
How did Purcell save that? The first save, impressive. The second one, impossible. I don't understand that. Halfway through this game, JWoo are really showing themselves up when it counts, but they still have to hold on for another half of this game. And they also have to clear it out here, not through the middle. Wi-Fi makes me clutch my heart, but somehow, some way, they remain unscathed.
There's more strings being pulled than just the heartstrings. There's strings being pulled in every single direction because the favors that JWoo are currently getting, they have to be from a higher entity. There's no way they put themselves in such a dangerous position twice and actually get away with a goal right here down the other end off the post, but Stoopsy will be there to reprimand Dragons.
Okay, this is disgusting. Look at this. Through traffic, Wi-Fi just perfectly places this one. It would have been nice to go on target, but the fact that they noticed immediately and Stoops was there before you could blink is the reason why JWoo are now up 2-0 in this game, and they could be going up 2-0 in the series if the Dragons aren't careful right now, Hyperia. Feels like they're playing a little bit too recklessly. They're getting so many good opportunities on offense, but when it comes time for a solid shot, the miscoordination of the team is leaving them a little bit flat-footed.
Woo! And also the game, because on the side of Dragons, that wouldn't have gone in. And it does on the side of JWoo. Obviously, it has come all down to you. It's a game of literal pixels, and well, JWoo just hit it a few pixels better.
At this point, they're hitting a lot of pixels better now right now. I mean, they're up 3-0. They're up 5-0 on the series. Still, the Dragons have yet to find themselves a goal in this affair. So, you need to switch this one up. It feels like they're getting good offensive pressure, Hypheria, but as we said, they've not been able to connect when it counts. Another good example there is JR. Tries to get fancy with it. Speaking of getting fancy with it, Wi-Fi off the backboard. Almost hits a freestyle shot, but not quite yet.
They're exuding confidence right now on the side of Jabu, and that can also come up against them when they do start faltering. If they do let a goal break through, and Dragons, they all of a sudden find that click that it just works for them. That's something that Jabu have to be careful of, and you can't just give away the pulse to Aaron like that, but they still are not able to convert. Dragons, they yet again come up M2, and they've had every single egg in their basket.
Indeed, they do. They have everything in their favor right now, but they still can't seem to find themselves the goals. And at this moment, I don't know, the Dragons, they're doing so well to get themselves opportunities, but they just can't find the shots when they count. Jwoo, they can kind of just sit back and do whatever they need here. I'd have to agree with you, Hypheria. 40 seconds to go. This one is not finished yet. Technically, the Dragons can find a comeback, but they need a miracle to do so.
And even if it's not in this game, you have still another game to look at where you can at least try and perform up to the standard that we know they can set as well, because they both won against the same team. It's just unfortunate that the Dragons are not quite able to portray that here against the Jwoo Yellow side, who are indomitable almost. And they're gonna have to look for a reverse sweep on the side of Dragons. Have fun with it.
Indeed they are, and I don't think they're going to be able to manage it. At this point here, this is going to be a rather difficult road for them without a single goal on the board yet. I think they're going to end this game the exact same way. Indeed, they will. Jwoo will close them out in a second shutout in a row. Now, at this point, it's not just a reverse sweep. It is Howard Community College having to find their first goal, and then many more after that.
In theory, they could do it with one goal every single time. Luminosity start, just make it close every single game and score the first one, then hold on to defense with your life.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, is they really do need to just try and find anything and then figure out the defense afterwards. I mean, it really is just one step at a time. There's nothing else to really say here. It feels like the team, unfortunately, is a little bit shaky, and if they aren't able to try and reconfigure themselves here in this third game, that's the end of the series.
The end of the series is nearby, but you can be nearby and still not have any clue who the opponent is or who that opportunity is. Look at me and my neighbors. I've got no clue who they are. We live close.
It's an interesting way to make an example of that one, but, you know, fair enough. I know my neighbors, but I will tell you this much. I don't know if we are close, so a little bit of an in-between here, if you will. 4:40 left on the clock here. The Dragons are starting to get some good offensive pressure again, but they need to find a shot on target. Turned away. JR, unfortunately, is not going to be able to find said shot. Not for a lack of trying. The pressure is staying up here for the Dragons as they do not let Jwoo get out of the half.
Finally have a breakaway Wi-Fi trying for an intricate pass into the center. JR sharply turns on it. That 180 loses a lot of momentum for him. Jwoo still not been able to break away. Bling Blong missing out entirely on the touch, not having the boost to facilitate it, running on fumes, and Aaron has still got a full tank to pop it forward. Wi-Fi lengths it up as JR should be able to swap that wide. Soups is going for a boost still there, and it could be problematic for the Dragons in the long run.
Could be, as right now it does feel like the Dragons are starting to get more and more nervous as they dive at these balls a little bit more recklessly. Good example as Aaron just goes into that one while his teammate is already on top of the ball. The Dragons won't get punished there, but they need to be careful. If they start getting too aggressive with their plays, Jwoo are a team that can punish them in the blink of an eye. So far they have not, though. 90 seconds into this one, it's actually been the Dragons who have had the overwhelming amount of pressure. Again, still no goals to show for it.
And adding on that, it seems like Jwoo is the more aggressive side right now. Yes, they're in defense the entire time, but look at the way they're jumping in. They're incredibly aggressive in that regard, but it will net them a goal. Purcell jumps in recklessly, and he wrecks the entire defense with it.
He does a great job at that as well. Good shot to the other end and a really nice follow-up. Purcell is just too quick with it. And unfortunately, this might be the end of the series because they're being pretty quick with it as well. The Dragons need to try and find a goal. That is now about 12 minutes without a single goal in their favor. Hypheria, at this point, they don't need just to turn this one around. They need a miracle.
Ooh,
oh my
way.
God, you gotta be kidding me.
It's become somewhat humorous at this point how badly things are going for Dragons. That should have gone in.
I don't even say badly. I think unlucky. Is that the word we can use? Unfortunate? I mean, it's
That's
just
what
like,
I mean.
It's just like, they can't catch a break right now, man. Every single time they find themselves a decent shot, everything goes awry, whether it's off the bar, a defensive masterclass from someone on JWoo. And here's why it's so painful, because they go down to the other end and immediately become a threatening squad. Good, though, that JR is at least ripping off shots the other way. Halfway through this game, the Dragons still do have some life left in them. Question is do they have any goals in them?
That's a start. Absolutely. It's going badly for them in the regard of somehow none of these opportunities that they've had actually found the back of the net. They have another opportunity here, though. Aaron can't pop it up into the center. Tries to do a 360 or a 180, do a roundabout around the car. JR with a short Wi-Fi should be able to... Oh, my word. Why'd you make that close? Why is this lingering in front of the net?
Someone? I mean, the Dragons, it's a golden opportunity. You have the ball just dangling there for what feels like 10 seconds, but no one is able to get up to it and get there in time. Unfortunately, I think the Dragons are getting a little bit timid with this one. They're recognizing that JWoo have had these breakout plays and are able to go end-to-end in the blink of an eye, so now they don't want to abandon defense too thoroughly here. They're trying to play an all-around game, but Hypheria, this might be the one time I say abandon the defense! Not for that moment, but for the rest of this game, because with 100 seconds left and not a goal in your favor, something's gotta change.
What a shot, but it's wide, and yet again, JWoo goes wide, and I hope they know how it feels for Dragons. They now need to go and actually convert it on the other end. JR able to swat it away yet again. As the JWoo, they're continuing to push for this goal, for this safety net that they would be able to build for themselves and complete the sweep on the Dragons here. I feel like it's undeserved in the terms of Dragons should at least have had a goal here, but they are still empty.
They're a minute away from finishing the series empty as well. A perfect sweep for JWoo if they're able to do this. They haven't been able to complete it yet. 50 seconds to go here. Although the curtains are lowering, there's still a chance that we could have an encore. But it's not up to JWoo. It's up to the Dragons, and passes like that are going to leave them so exposed. 3 seconds to go. They're going to march down to the other end. JWoo looking to possibly put the dagger in this one, but they're not quite there yet. And I fear with the time that we have on the clock, this is absolutely possible for the Dragons.
My JWoo, they're even monkeying the ball as well, not leaving it alone. JR, big clear of the top Wi-Fi. This is awkward. He might just place that on target. It will send into the center. Blingbong can't force it through. Aaron will also be denied to the goal line. JWoo, they build an iron wall, and the curtains might just be closing because of it.
In the wise words of Ethan Dolan, I don't know what that kid's major is, but it better be masonry, because they are building a brick wall on that back line. Congratulations to JWoo. They are 3 seconds away, but I have jinxed it. I thought that would be a simple clear, but when the whiff comes out with a single shot left, that's going to be enough.
They can have all the chance in the world. They can have every single opportunity, but this one, they made a golden. The weirdest one. JWoo, don't give this away in regulation now. It's going to trickle on in, but it will go to overtime. And HGC Dragons have never been able to score their first goal. Now they need to find a second.
Oh, this has got to hurt for JWoo there. They've got a single second that they need to survive. Just make a 50-50 in front of the net, and a complete whiff now sends them to an overtime that I guarantee they did not want to go to. They can still get the sweep. The perfect sweep is out of the question here, though. And, oh, the sweep might be if that shot had gone on. JR, though, not able to facilitate his team entirely as they don't want to go for the second shot. Meanwhile, everyone on JWoo will do that, and they make the entire defense throw themselves into a tizzy. 30 seconds into this one, and the Dragons look very uncomfortable right now, Hypheria. They need to recenter themselves and refocus.
Blingbong approach the ball. Commercials, that's a weak shot. And JR actually able to capitalize. Don't double tap this in the back of your own net. You got to touch on it. But HCC Dragons, they've not been able to punish the mistake, not crack the whip. And JWoo, they get away with another shaky defense.
Indeed they do. It feels like the defenses on both sides, though, are starting to get a little bit shaky as the pressure starts to build. Neither one of them is really playing this as concrete as before, and double commits like that at a JWoo is something we have not seen in... I don't even know if we've ever seen that throughout this game. They've been very good on their rotation, so to see them force into double commits like that can show the pressure is on. 70 seconds into overtime. Both teams exchanging blows, but Wi-Fi, you need to make a touch here. And if they had not, that probably was the end of overtime.
They are still off into the box. Clear away. Purtles are right behind Blingbong, so Blingbong is going to take over. Flip reset, perhaps. No, he just decides to keep it in the air for a little bit longer. JR diving in, but you're a last man. That could be vulnerable on the back end. Now JWoo They're on the prowl, but Stoops tripping and slipping on that counter-attack. That will mitigate the damage for at least a little bit, but not entirely nullified as another shot come through, and Purcell, they will complete the sweep.
It will finish us out in 3. It may not be a perfect sweep, but it is a sweep nonetheless, and it is a sweep in spectacular fashion. Overtime win here for JWoo Yellow, and they continue their undefeated streak. Not only do they do that, they do so in a sweeping fashion.
What a sweeping fashion they do it in as well. Only giving it away 1 goal the entire series. Still impressive. Yes, there could have been more. Yes, there probably should have been more as well. But unfortunately, they come up empty on the side of Howard, and well, they don't even manage to get a game.
It's been unfortunate. I would say that this is one of these things where it doesn't feel like this should have been a sweep, but aside from that third game, I can't even say that. And really, aside from the last 10 seconds of that third game, I can't even say that. So it's a good game. It's a fantastic win here. It's an unfortunate result, though, for Howard Community College, as now they fall 1-3 on the season. But hey, Johnson Wales, they are 4-0 now. One of the best starts they could have had. I think, well, pretty much the best start that they could have had here, unless they basically sweep. Yeah, unless they sweep everybody at that point here. The game differential still very positive, and their record is by far as well. So we'll let them go into their next matchup here, and we will get into our next matchup very soon as well. Quick little break, but when we return, our second series of the day here on the NECCB stream, it's going to be Alabama White versus Ohio University, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League B stream for week number 4. My name is Bastion the Pass, joined alongside by none other than Hype. And Hype, we are here with our second match of the day. It is University of Alabama White versus Ohio University here. And this, again, another interesting scoreline coming into this one. Alabama White come into this 1-2, taking a loss against Rio Grande and a loss against another, University of Alabama Huntsville White. I thought I was reading that one wrong, but they do take a win over the NCC. However, Ohio, they've taken a win against everybody here. They're currently 3-0 on the season, taking a win against MSOE, taking a win against Valpo, and taking a win against Ottawa here. So this is one of these things where I fear they look good, but we never really know on the day.
Yeah, and that all comes down to the rosters. And let's quickly go over those rosters as well, starting with Alabama White to see what team they're going to be fielding today. I'll get the right orders around someday because I feel like everybody's already waiting. Already was Wasser, Darude, and Cement.
I know that it's probably not. I'd love if Darude was based off of Darude Sandstorm. There's just no way ever. But, you know, hey, listen, you gotta just hold out hope, if you will, here. But regardless, yeah, this is a solid roster, a very good composition, and a young one at that, which is why this is going to be so interesting. 3 sophomores and 1 freshman on the squad. The one player they don't have playing here today is Will. But then you look at the other side for Ohio University, and these guys, they're all seniors. This is a completely senior lineup here tonight in Floppy, Bull, and Sanchez. And honestly, I love to see it. The veteranship versus the young guns.
That's always an interesting matchup, and if you portray that in a element such as RLCS, you usually say the old guns are probably going to come out with a smarter play, but the young guns, they're going to go mechanic. But this is college freshmen, so there's still the age disparity is not necessarily that great.
Yeah, that's one of these things where even being a college freshman, you're already older than 90% of the pros in the Rocket League scene. So, yeah, it's one of these things where these guys, they may have a little bit of difference in their age here, but maybe their experience can make up for that. And I gotta hope so here, because, again, as much as these young guns, we've got faith in them today, they are definitely coming into this one, the underdogs. Versus a 3-0 Ohio University, they literally need to pull out all the stops, I fear you.
They have to. They need to cause a power outage on their side or whatever they can and try and manage, because they're up against it here. We already saw the previous match already. That was a 1-2 against a 3-0 record as well, when the timer even getting squandered as Ohio University. They get their first goal within the first second.
All right, I'll be honest. I didn't even see this. I looked down for about a quarter of a second. What happened? Darude, oh, that's not the kickoff they were looking for there. It's okay. A goal is a goal, and for Ohio University, this is not necessarily too unexpected, but for Alabama, they should probably take a second and try and calm down here. You guys have got a long series ahead of you. You cannot allow little errors like that to tilt you out of a series. However, you might get tilted out from a second goal here. 7 seconds into this one, they're already up 2-0.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, really. I'm not too sure what is going on for either side, really. Ohio, they should be scoring this much, and Alabama White, they should be holding on a lot stronger. I'm a bit frazzled, and it is a very chaotic start of the game where we can't really draw any conclusions from just yet, because it's the opening chaos usually, and that should get laid out rather silently throughout the match.
Yeah, this is definitely one of these things where you can see series starts like this, where it's just chaos abound, both teams just kind of exchanging blows back and forth, but no exchanging right now. It is only one team that is sending them. But regardless, yeah, this is usually how it starts. Chaotic first minute or so, and then we'll start to see the settle down, but they at least get out of their half. Right now, Alabama still feeling the pressure here as Ohio continue to push them back into their half and put on even more pressure. Good way to break out, though. Arduous going to try and get himself to the other end. And a pinch out to the center. Is anyone there? No. Floppy recognizes they have time and just kind of wait into the corner here. Pick up 100. Should be able to send this out of the half. But, again, right now, Ohio looking very much in control of this one, Hypheria. They're going to need to play very carefully if they want to try and come back. But how about like that? Alabama showing they've got life left in them.
What happened? The triple touch almost, the quadruple touch, however, if you want to count them back home, put it in slow-mo, they might have managed to make it work, though. It's an odd goal for Ohio. They've had 2 odd goals of themselves already, so Alabama White, they're still short 1. They need to cut this lead further away and make it a level playing field altogether. Sanchez pops it up. Oh, that's a good pass, Floppy. going off the ceiling into Bull. It's a good passing play. Unfortunately, they come up empty.
It was a really nice play. I think at this point, unfortunately, they're going to need to just play a little bit more carefully here, though. At this point, oh my word, I was going to say they're only up a single goal. So as nice as these passing plays are, I think right now they might try and get themselves a couple more goals in their favor to gain some security. And they might do that right here. Ohio pressing Alabama back into their half. Going to put on good pressure, but they won't find any touches. They send Floppy all the way out to midfield, so I'm starting to see where maybe Alabama could get back into this one, Hypheria. If Ohio are going to play this aggressive, they just got to wait for a good counterattack.
Warriors. It's a bit awkward. A stun. That counterattack certainly on the prowl when you make mistakes like that, because you use a lot of boost in the process and you give away position, and your own position is compromised as well, so you quickly need to scramble back in Ohio. They need to be on the prowl for those, but Alabama White, they might just have an overstep on their side as well, from the side of Ohio, rather. And then they can turn that into an effective counter as well. But Ohio right now, they're slowly but surely cranking up the pressure, and Alabama White, they're sweating.
At this point, the pressure really is starting to build, like you said here, and I think it's due to the fact that Ohio are recognizing that, ooh, Alabama, they've got a little bit of kick in them. They're not necessarily going to go down all too easily, so we need to play this one carefully. Wide rotations like this out of Floppy, where they're willing to take it all the way back into their half just to play it safer, is exactly how Ohio should be handling this right now. Good 50-50 out of midfield should send them into another offense here, and with 2 minutes remaining, if Ohio can find a third goal, that would give them so much extra security.
Let's pop it up high. Narude, that's all awkward. Bo actually puts it down low right into the hands of Narude, who can even facilitate himself with a lovely little clear out wide. Bo yet again up high. Ohio won't have anybody on the scoring duty. Bo actually needs to prevent scoring duty from his own team.
They do, and right now it feels like both teams are just kind of playing, I would say, a passive back and forth here. Neither one of them want to overshow their hands. They've got an ace up the sleeve, and they don't want to show it here in only game number 1 of this series. 3 seconds to go here, though. Ohio still have managed to hold on to their lead throughout this entire ballgame after scoring twice in the first 10 seconds. And they find themselves a third, because technically Alabama is the last one to score in this one, Hypheria. Aside from those kickoff goals, this one has been, I was going to say, in favor of Alabama White, but Caster Curse, baby. It's something I can't avoid no matter where I go.
That's asking for it as well. If you continue that sentence and you see the net is undefended, you're asking for a Caster Curse. You're just facilitating it for yourself. You're building personality. I get it. Yeah, it's on brand for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is part of my brand here. No matter how much I despise it being part of my brand, I think that everybody has recognized that I'm Caster Curse King, and, well, that is King spelled with a C, or, well, I don't really care how you spell it at this point. Maybe somewhere in between. What do you mean? What do you mean, huh? How is that confusing?
What do you mean King spelled with a C? Sing?
Caster Curse King. Do you understand how that, alliteration?
Yeah, but who spells King with a C?
No one. That's the point.
Doesn't seem to be a great point, though, mate.
What?
I initially agreed with the branding, and it's probably good to have a Caster Curse, but if you're going to be calling yourself King with a C, well, Bull, he will be the real King with a K.
I'm not going to disagree that Bull is the king at this point here. It really is Bull and Sanchez, though, that are just kind of sharing the crown right now. Bull might have a hat trick, but 2 out of the 3 goals that they have scored here have been facilitated by Sanchez getting the assist. So 4-1 here with about just underneath a minute to go, and I think Alabama, unfortunately, as much as they looked good in response to the initial 2 goals, haven't been able to find much from that singular one. And as Sanchez dumps in yet another goal, just kind of feels like the floodgates had opened, and no one has a way to shut them.
Kickoffs don't seem to be very much to the liking of Alabama White. That's something they can work on. Even though it's 3v3, you still need a stronger kickoff than they're currently having, conceding, which is basically 3 goals off of it. It's not ideal, especially in your first game, but it is the first game. You can forget about it, move it aside, and put it somewhere in a dark, deep corner where nobody will ever find it.
That's a big thing. GGs go next. We talk about this a lot, just to keep the mentality in this one. Just make sure that, wipe away this game. This was not a good game. 4 out of the 5 goals that we saw were more or less kickoffs at this point here. So it really is one of these things where Ohio University definitely did win this game. I'm not going to try and discredit them by any stretch of the imagination. But Alabama, if you can just play a little bit more carefully off of kickoffs, it's going to be a much closer scoreline.
Ohio, They managed to at least get that first one, but it was due to that opening minute where they just got the better of the chaos. They were able to master it and instill it in their body themselves. And then you move through with a lot of confidence throughout the rest of the game as well. Even though the confidence is not necessarily deserved because, well, you got 2 goals off of kickoff. That's something, even though it seems silly to be saying, that's something Alabama might have to take into account. That kickoff game needs to take a step up.
Again, it really does need to take a step up because that's the first game of the series. We talk about this often, Hypheria. It's the difference in setting the tone in game number 1. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to win this entire thing, not by any stretch of the imagination, but what it does mean is that the tone has been set and Ohio have proven themselves the front runners here in this series. Now, Alabama, can you find a good response here in game 2 and really make them question everything they saw in the first? The offense here would be massive, but unfortunately, it's a breakaway play. Floppy sends it to the backboard. Where's the follow-up? It's actually from Arduous, who's going to put this all the way to the backboard of Ohio. So a little bit more resistance to start off this game, Hypheria. A bit of a ping-pong match, if you will.
That's already great for Alabama. They couldn't get much worse than the previous match, and unfortunately for them and for everybody watching, it has not gotten worse because it would not be great to see 3 goals off of kickoff right from the get-go. But Ohio, they're still pressing. They still want the opening here.
You'd want the opening, but neither one of the teams has been able to find one. 45 seconds into this, and despite the best efforts on both sides, no one has found the back of the net yet. Could be changing here, though. Floppy's got a good offense being built up. That's a great pass out of center, but no one is prepared. Sanchez was probably expecting a little bit more power from the back pass. When they have to dive on in, all they find is a 50-50 in the Alabama white defense here. The defense is getting a little bit shaky, Hypheria. The pressure is on, and they're going to need to be able to withstand it. Indeed, they will. Ohio a bit off the mark and has a 50-50, flies to the corner. Alabama can take a deep breath of relief, at least for the moment. Oh, but wait a minute. How many moments longer? Darude to pinch that out with Arduous, and they indeed can take that deep sigh of relief.
I'm going to call it right now. Ohio, they're going to concede a goal because they went for a cheeky pass in the opposing half. And it was intercepted by Alabama White, and it's just going to go fly over the top. You can mark that down for later. It will happen somewhere. Maybe in this game, maybe in the next one, but it will be happening right now. Floppy, he's actually popping that up further down the line. Sanchez able to find a second tap to put it in the box again, but there's nobody home.
There's no one home at this point here, and it does feel like the pressure is starting to build, but unfortunately, Ohio still have yet to hit the mark here, despite their best efforts. A pickup of 100 in the corner there is going to mean I don't think Alabama can move out of their half all too effectively, especially when they send it to the corner, or excuse me, to the sidewall instead of out to the other half. And oh, demos like that will continue to lock them in. Ohio have got them in their grip, but can they find a way to squeeze it tight and close this out halfway through this game? Despite their best efforts, Ohio have not been able to hit the mark, and they will not there either. Bull just barely unable to get the touch with just not enough boost.
That was so unfortunate. Set goal looked at the boost, realized that was a lie, and man, at that point, you are not going to be scoring a double tap when you have 4 boosts to work with, and unfortunately, an opportunity gone begging for Ohio, and it's Alabama White to penetrate the opposing half deeply. Puncture it out, at least for now. Ohio, are they going to get it out? They do seemingly do so with a 50.
Do so, and they also start to build up an offense here. Again, Sanchez really using this to advantage. We were talking about that Bull and Sanchez offense before. I want to see Floppy get involved, but I also do understand why they don't want to send their third man too aggressively. Ohio are playing this very methodically. They've got very clean rotations, very simple rotations, and I say that in the most complimentary ways possible because they don't overextend themselves. They don't overdo anything. They just play patiently and wait for their chances. Oh, and that could be the one! Bull sneaks it under one, pops it over another, and I don't know how this goal goes in. I don't care. It's a spectacular shot out of Bull.
The back of Cement's car actually lifted it up. It was basically a ground pinch, if you will.
A team ground pinch, basically.
Is insanely unlucky for Alabama White.
I feel like that's the only word we can use. We've seen this so many times. The separating factor today being literally your misfortune. I can't help but feel bad because Alabama, they're playing this game way better than the first time period, but it's just single errant touch that costs them this game potentially.
Every single time that we've called something unfortunate, it has been out of their own hands. The shooting just not quite on target, and it will ping off the crossbar. Sure, that feels unfortunate as well, but it is your own doing. And then with this, You pinch it with the underside of your car when you're going for a challenge. They go low and you somehow manage to pinch it up behind your team who had your back. That is incredibly unlucky, but Alabama White don't care how unlucky they got. You need to push through right now with 50 seconds remaining. You're still very much in it, but perhaps over 2-goal differential. Bull come back up in time as the man, he's still sticking in front of the ball, but not for long as Bull moves it through.
Honestly, credit to Bull here. It's a beautiful shot out of Floppy. I wish it had gone in, but Bull does not dive at the ball. They preserve their flip, just get in the way and wait until they see the touch that's going to try and clear it out. Flip directly into the ball, find themselves a goal, and find themselves the 2-0 lead with 40 seconds to go. Technically possible. Alabama can still come back here, but it does feel like Hypheria, unless they are able to find themselves just insane momentum on offense, they have really struggled to find solid shots.
Ohio University, they're putting them nicely on the back foot, but this is awkward. Bully struggling in the defensive end, needs his teammate to help him out. Cement unfortunately flying past it. Sanchez faking out, I like it. You don't need to move into the attack, you can just fake it out. And he's doing it again, trying to bait them into the 50-50 because it just wastes so much time. Just him by his lonesome has wasted 10 seconds off the clock, and at the dying seconds of the game, every single second is crucial.
That's the big thing here, and indeed, they are going to waste as many seconds as they can. Tick down the clock, and then the results are inevitable here. Try to avoid it, try to run, but you cannot. Alabama White now need to reverse sweep on the series if they want to try and take this one. On paper, Ohio are the stronger team. So far, they've shown themselves as those solid contenders, but can they close it out in 3 Hypheria? Some would argue this is going to be the hardest game of the series for them.
Alabama White only getting one shot, unfortunately, and that does not really spring any confidence on their side, and nor on my side. If I see one shot, it kind of is a lackluster punch out of defense. I don't think their offense is necessarily bad, but it's mainly getting into that offense, and they're getting locked in. They need to find a way out. They need to find the key, or just brute force, which is a very viable option as well. Just get a few demos, lads.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is it just kind of feels like right now they're not playing timidly, but they are playing hesitantly, if that makes sense. They're seeing a ball in the air. They're recognizing that they are getting outpaced by their opponents, and they're going, should I go for that? And by the time you've made that thought of, oh, should I go for that? It's all too late. Alabama White, you got to turn on the Jets here in game number 3, because if you do not, that will be the end of your day. And unfortunately, you will not have another chance here against Ohio University, and they will continue their undefeated streak. Kind of crazy. We have 2 games in a row where it's basically the underdogs versus the undefeated. So let's see, can we have a different result than the first?
Especially it ending in a sweep. That's the main part here, where with Ohio, they would love to complete it, but Alabama White, they need to prevent it at all costs, because it does seem to me that they have more in them than getting swept here. Ohio, yet again, moving into the attack and making it scary for Alabama White.
That's a big thing here, is that this is just one of these series where it feels like, yes, we understand that Ohio have by far been in the lead and had the advantage. Oh my word, I was going to say, but Alabama, this is not representative of them. We've been waiting for them to have a pop-off play like this. Darude, what a touch!
That was incredible. A defender on the back end just completely staggered by it as well. Probably expected Darude to take it out wide, leaving the net vulnerable, and Darude is actually going to convert. That's beautiful out of Alabama White, able to convert their first goal of this game and open it up entirely. Ohio, they are now on the back foot.
Just such a nice touch. I'm looking at it back on the replay and seeing how they just completely glided that one around. That's the type of play that instills confidence in your squad and, ooh, really gets the engines revving, but can you continue with your momentum? Arduous would like to think so. Flick on target, but Bull will keep it out. 3:49 left on the clock. Alabama have definitely woken up Hypheria. The question, though, is Ohio going to stay in bed as well? I don't think so. They're going to start to wake up. They're going to get some offense together, but can they find the equalizer?
It could be a rude awakening here if Ohio do prefer to do so. And Alabama White, they're so struggling in the defensive end, running in each other's way. You can just see the panic set through is perpetual in their bodies. They don't break away efficiently. Darude finally manages to get across the midfield line. Arduous carries it back with Floppy with an interception, and actually Arduous with a good follow-up demo sends it into an opportunity. Pinned down low, at least gets a demo to open it up perhaps for the rest of his team, but it seems like Ohio, they are not faltering in that defensive end.
No, they really are not. They're playing this one very methodically. Again, this is why we were so complimentary of Ohio before. They just are playing with such a good 3-man rotation, allowing them to utilize this pitch so effectively. Fortunately, though, there's nothing set in stone at this point here with 3 minutes remaining and Alabama only having a 1-0 lead and Ohio playing pretty patiently and pretty reserved. I don't think that they're necessarily going to give this one up all too easily. Halfway through game number 3, Alabama just fighting to keep the series alive. Ohio fighting to close it out.
Goes into the center, Arduous. He tries to facilitate it. Bull taking it wide, and Bull's flicks have been insane. I think he's going to get a nutty one later on, but Bull actually clearing the way entirely, and then Goomba stomping is pathing for Floppy.
All right, come on now, Bull. Dude, this is just mean. Bullies one, bullies another, sets it up, bing, bang, bong, boom, straight into the net, and Ohio find themselves an equalizer. I mean, listen, man, I don't know what else to say besides Bull Beast. I see the chat calling it out, and you guys are accurate. This man has been electric this entire day.
Bully works well.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give it a 6 or a 7, you know?
Out of 6.
No, but, you know. Out of 9. Anyways, moving on. This is going to be the
10.
second goal here for Alabama White as Darude finds themselves an opening in the bottom right. And I got to say, it's nice to see Alabama immediately with a response.
That's important. Otherwise, they might just start doubting themselves. It could manifest it in the back of their minds. And Ohio, they are yet again being put on the back foot. If Alabama White want to facilitate themselves with a comeback here, a reverse sweep, if you will, they need to crush the momentum and the morale of Ohio to get some easy games or at least an easy opportunity. But ball all the way down the other end. It's a good pass along, but Darude just waiting patiently for the swat away.
Oh, and I like this. The patience on both sides means this is going to be a very tense last 100 seconds of this game. That's a big demo, though, but the shot is off target. Ball will stay in the box and keep a little bit of pressure on. That probably should have hit the back of the net, and similarly, that shot should have been a little bit more powerful. Ohio, they're playing this patiently. I love the fact that they are waiting on offense, but it's time for them to put a solid shot on target, Hyperia. They are running against the clock and are running out of time.
Well, getting bumped out of the way as well. Cement was able to take over, but I don't think they take kindly to being bumped in Ohio. With vengeance, they seek out another demo on the other side as it opens up the attacking opportunity. Shot actually on target. Arduous and Darude combined on the clear away. Bull, this is where you need to be careful. The flicks have been stellar. He only pops it over one. And I say only because for Bull standard, that is about breakfast and just not able to turn in. I'm going to have to let this opportunity go awry.
Well, yeah, it's another opportunity gone awry, and it's an entire play gone awry at that as Arduous takes it all the way to the other end. 40 seconds to go. They've got time to try and turn this one around, but Ohio need to find themselves a solid shot with the little time they have left. It's a great center. Is anyone there? They will indeed get to 50-50, but it is all that they will get. Floppy with a follow-up. Bull's there. The shot on target, and Ohio tie us up with 23 to go.
Bull camouflaged up, laying in the bushes, waiting for somebody to walk into his fangs, and he will claw down heavily on this attack. Good stuff out of Ohio. 23 seconds remaining. It shows that they can remain calm even under a strenuous position. Arduous taking that to the skies. This could be a good opportunity for Alabama White. Flip reset going underneath. What are you doing, Arduous?
A little bit fancy on that one. All right, I get it. Maybe not the time to pull out the fancy mechanics considering there are 10 seconds left and you're looking down the barrel of a sweep against your squad, but you know what? Ambition is nice. I like to see the bravery, and I like to see this as well. Arduous taking it to the sky. Bull will send it off the backboard, but this is dangerous territory. Ohio, yup, spike it down. They'd rather go to overtime than have that one end in regulation. So, let's see, can they get it done? Ohio, a chance to sweep the series and keep their undefeated streak alive, but they'll need to play some defense against an Alabama White that has been coming to life and has been getting better and better every single game. Touches like that go to show it. 50-50 in front of the net, turned away by the defense, but Alabama White starting off with some strong offense.
I like that Alabama White did not overcommit in that position. They are taking a step back and realizing that they don't have to commit all their manpower on that one opportunity they might just get, but they get another one here. Sanchez clear right in front of his own goal. They clear away actually proper, and the read he tries to make it true, but he's just a few lines off. Ball also defensive, far back.
Oh, I love this. Just this little bit of timidness. You can see Darude does not want to move all the way out of net. Neither one of these teams wants to abandon the defense at the scary scenario of an errant touch going all the way across court and into their net. Oh, look at this. No one even challenging out at mid. You can tell, High Fear, the pressure is on. Both teams are playing this one so carefully.
Ohio, they have a lot of pace, a lot of individual prowess. I feel like Alabama White, they need to move as a unit, and Arduous, as to do so, actually might just go solo, and it's Bull to intercept and bring it out wide. Cement puts in a challenge, but that challenge quickly disregarded by the Ohio side. They do have to go back on defense for a second to punt it forward.
They do, but now a... Whoa! No one's going to say a huge chance there for Alabama, but similarly, on the other end, it feels like both teams have had huge chances to try and take momentum in their favor, and they're just booming this back and forth. All right, this could be a shot.
Yeah.
It's going to be off target, though. Floppy puts it wide. These booming shots from Ohio have been getting better and better, but again, the accuracy has been a problem. But this man has been a problem for Alabama the entire time. Bo going to find another one. He will pick up his second hat trick on the series and will close out the night with a sweep for Ohio University.
Beastly bully Bull. He bangs it in the back of the net with... beginning brains or advanced brains? Probably advanced brains, but it doesn't start with a B. Advanced brains?
How about brilliant? No? No, that's not acceptable?
It would have been had it not come from you.
Okay, fair. Well,
Brilliant game, though. Brilliant game out of Ohio. Absolutely exquisite. And I think it mainly was due to, of course, Bull. We've been putting him in the highlight, but he gets to be in the highlight as well.
indeed, they do. Congratulations to Bull and congratulations to Ohio on taking the sweep here and taking the series overall. They continue with their undefeated season. They're now 4-0 overall. And I don't think are going to stop that anytime soon here, Hyfira. A very impressive result for Ohio University. But that is not the last result we have here for the day. Folks, we're not done here on the B stream. We've still got plenty more to go. And when we return, it's going to be East Carolina University versus UNCA Blue. So do not go anywhere. When we return, even more Rocket League action. We will be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League Week number 4 here on the B Stream. My name is Bass on the Past, joined alongside none other than Hypheria. And Hype, we are back for the third match of the day. It is East Carolina University versus UNCA. This is going to be an interesting one. We've been talking about how it's been kind of a one-sided affair most of the time here tonight. An undefeated team going against a team that hasn't necessarily found the strongest start. This one, it is very different. Both of these teams have found a good amount of wins, and both of these teams have found a couple of losses. So now we have to see who's going to come out on top in this battle.
Ooh, it's going to be a feisty one. I can already sense it. We've had blowouts the entire day. It's time for a change around, and that change around should be happening right here. So let's take a look at the roster, see what lineup is going to be playing here today to try and take on this tremendous battle.
Indeed, we will. Let's take a look at East Carolina University first off here. The first team that we will be looking at is, again, another squad that we've talked about all night. The senior squad here. Everybody in their last year of college. Onyx's, Ethan, and Dagger are going to have to try and battle this one out. I've got faith in them to do so, Hypheria, but again, not going to be easy here considering that their opponents have also found wins during this season.
Oh, seniors. So that could be something interesting, at least for them. But perhaps on the other side, won't be all seniors, I can tell you that much. But there was at least 2 on their entire squad as we will swap over to the UNCA side. Let's see what lineup they're using today. A Bulldog as mascot, and I hope for them that they can come out. But there's 2 seniors being fielded.
Indeed they are. And we've got Sheik, Paja, and Igno here, all going to be running this one. Again, the only player not in this entire lobby that is not a senior is going to be Igno here. And honestly, respect to the undecided sophomore, because that takes a lot of guts to run into a lobby like this and still try and hold your nerves together. Let's see, can they do that? We've got a best of 5 just about underway here, Hypheria, and like we said, this one is going to be an absolute battle.
That's what we expect. We expect it to be an absolute battle. We don't really have the cross-contamination in the game, so we can't compare them in that regard. So we're just going to have to go in blind, basically. They both played against the University of South Carolina, but, well, they don't necessarily have reported their score on the side of UNCA, which is not necessarily the greatest thing, so we can't compare.
And we can't really get a full read on either one of these teams. But the good thing is that we can get into the game. And then we get a read on both of the teams pretty much immediately here. So I'm excited to get into this one. I really do think that we should have a barn burner of a match at this point. But only time will tell. And to be honest, at this point, I'm just looking for not a sweep. As long as we don't have another sweep, Hypheria, I am satisfied with whatever scoreline we find here.
I gotta get at least one on the other side. It's been far away every single time. And our series is already over 3-0 still. Easy claps. That is obviously from a previous series, if you weren't aware. But ECU Gold versus UNCA Blue. And this is a feisty battle that they're going to be starting right here, right now. And Onyx, really trying to get that opening goal.
And honestly, this one's also spicy because, as well, if you guys aren't familiar with what UNCA stands for, that is University of North Carolina at Asheville. So this is kind of the battle for the Carolinas as well. Both of these teams representing their states and trying to make sure that they can play to the best of their abilities. Liking what we're seeing so far here. ECU, some booming clears into the UNCA half, putting on the pressure. And the Team in Gold find themselves a star-studded win to start this series off. Time will tell. 45 seconds into this one, and so far, neither team able to find the back of the net.
It's been ECU pushing the most, though, and Onyx's might find himself an open net. Indeed will convert it. It is at the same time. The go-ahead goal falls to ECU.
Indeed it does, and ECU will start off the scoreline in spectacular fashion, and honestly, opening up the scoreline at all is the important part. We talk about it so often. Setting the tone in games like this is exactly what you need to do. It is literally crucial. Speaking of setting the tone, if UNCA can find a quick response, they will not allow ECU to run away, but they need a shot on target. They will not find it. She comes in with a final shot. It goes to the backboard, and ECU can wipe the sweat off their brow for now.
ECU moving into the attack. That's where they've been the strongest, and well, they get to wipe away the sweat, but that trickles in onto the center, and UNCA, they catch all the sweat that's already been wiped off, and that sweat is going to drown them. ECU Gold, they managed to get another one on the board.
Ooh, and now we're starting to see this team might be a pretty aggressive squad at that. Look how close Onyx is waiting in the wings while there's already 2 players there. This could come back to bite them, but so far it has not. Game number 1 entirely in favor of ECU at this point. The UNCA, can they find themselves a little bit of a response, or are they just going to get scored on again? Onyx puts one on target, turned away by the defense here. 90 seconds into this one, I will say, UNCA not looking bad right now, Hypheria, but they do need to try and find some offense. They've been pressed into their half for quite some time.
UNCA, it's only game number 1, and there's still plenty of moments of improvement. You do need to find that, and well, they're moving into the attack, actually. It's almost converting as well. Paya to the center. Dagger with a clear out, but Sheik still able to catch, and UNCA, they're slowly but surely building a solid offense.
They're getting there, but it's step by step at this point, Hypheria. With 3 minutes remaining and a 2-0 deficit, it's going to be rather difficult for them to turn this one around in game number 1. But if they can find themselves just a little bit of momentum, find themselves a little bit of confidence, it can do massive things for the entirety of this series. But right now, they're actually enduring even more pressure, and they might even be enduring a couple more shots. Ethan puts one into the defense. 2 defenders able to turn it away. Not quite able to get it off the half yet, or I might eat my words. Finally, a shot goes the other side. Sheik, he'll try and facilitate another one, but no such luck. Ethan pops it out, and what could have been a huge offense for UNCA Blue has been stifled.
Well, UNCA, it's just wide, and it's still basing Dagger. They need to combine on the clear away. Dagger in the perfect spot to punch it clear even further, and UNCA, another opportunity gone begging that they would love to have turned into gold, but instead it's ECU who get away with another attack. UNCA quickly able to return that into the ECU side, though.
They do. This is an incredibly intense back and forth here. It does feel like ECU just kind of came out the gate swinging, but as soon as UNCA found themselves a response, it was a much quieter game from there on out. 2 minutes to go. Maybe someone can break the silence, but so far it doesn't seem like UNCA have been able to get some solid shots on target. The singular ones that they have had have been easily turned away by ECU, so here there's going to need to be a switch up. With 100 seconds left, it's time for UNCA to pull out all the stops.
Ooh, good 50. He sends it into the box, but a quick punch away by ECU makes it threatening for UNCA. Instead, Nixus could pass off into the midfield, but I like that ECU, they're taking a more defensive approach, and as I say, that Dagger just dives in for the play, allows the back end to be open just a little bit, and UNCA, unfortunately for them, they can't sneak through the cracks.
Can't quite yet here, but they need to sneak something in. 70 seconds to go. UNCA have been so close. Just getting a goal at this point, Hypheria, feels like it would be massive for their mental. Just giving them the ability to know that they can stay in the series, to know they can compete against ECU. Because the way that they're playing is displaying that. Unfortunately, the score line is not, and uh-oh, it could be even more detrimental against them. Good turn away as she booms that one back into the ECU half. They need to do more than boom it right now. They need to facilitate an offense, and these aggressive clears are just easily giving away possession right back into the ECU hands.
It would ignite them a little bit. It would give them confidence to get that go-ahead goal for themselves, even though the chances of the comeback might just be somewhere down in the dumps. They could still bring it back. Even when your chances are minimal, you need to be trying your hardest, because you might just get a kickoff goal. There could be a DC or whatever, something fortunate happening, but it does not seem to be the case. ECU holding strong. UNCA are in a peculiar position.
They are, and with only 10 seconds left, I think this one is all but wrapped up. As much as you may disdain the phrase, you have to admit that the results are the same here. ECU going to take this one definitively, maybe even get a goal for the road. UNCA, they're going to not allow them to get one. They will still take the win no matter what, though. ECU take game number 1.
That's only game number 1. We've already said it time and time again. Game number 1 doesn't matter that much. You can always bring it back later on. And it's about getting your offense started, getting your side started. And I think they did that still somewhat properly on the side of UNCA. They just need to further upon it and actually get those bricks working together to build a solid wall.
That's a big thing, is it feels like they're getting the pieces, but they can't quite complete the puzzle. And as close as they have been so many times again, the picture that they will paint if they get it all is going to be beautiful. But right now, just a little bit faint and a little bit muddy. So, let's see. Can they turn this one around? I've got faith in UNCA at this point here. They are doing a really good job at keeping up the pressure and handling everything that ECU have thrown against them. I have to wonder, if another early goal goes in for ECU, is this just going to have to be a reverse sweep, as the mental would be so defeated for UNCA?
Even if your mental is defeated, I've still heard it before where people are that deep into a game that they don't even know the scoreline. And they just focus on trying to facilitate that comeback or just playing to their absolute best. They don't really care what the current standings are, and I think that would be a position UNCA needs to slip into, but that doesn't even need to be the case just yet because ECU, they haven't scored yet.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't cast or curse this, Hyperia. Oh, my word. ECU getting within inches of finding the opening goal here. But the UNCA defense will turn it away for now. Double commit, though, off the backboard. That's going to allow even more pressure out of ECU. Is anyone there? They are, but they put it off target. A huge opportunity for ECU to find the opening goal, but they cannot hit the back of the net.
I guess I can't be cast or cursed.
Apparently not.
That should have been a great opportunity, and it was for ECU, but they can't convert on what is basically an open net. Now it's UNCA's turn to try and show their attacking prowess, but instead, Ethan whips it up, and Nix is not found, but a flip reset. It's there to boot, and doesn't use it properly. Paya into the attack dagger, an easy swat wide, and oh my word, that was odd behavior there by UNCA.
It's a little bit of an erratic game here in game number 2. It feels like both teams are diving at the ball a little bit more aggressively than before. Oh, but if you're going to dive aggressive, you got to put the shot on target. ECU absolutely should never have made that touch. And really, that should never have been gotten away safely. ECU get away with an absolute robbery there. And UNCA, they're going to want that opportunity back.
CCU to catch them defensive end and take a controlling touch all the way down to their back defensive half. Igno with a quick challenge. They're away by Onyx's. Ethan, he's on the prowl for the extension. Sheik is going to miss out entirely. Dagger, he's storming on in. And the battering ram will be knocking on the door, but it's holding strong the yoke brought from a good tree, and they won't falter just yet. They're able to hold onto that defense. Dagger, that could have been a puncture through.
Could have been the opening goal here. Halfway through this game, neither one of the teams has been able to find that opening goal. Definitely not for a lack of trying, though. UNCA, they are getting some better resistance. They're definitely getting more shots on target and really better opportunities each time. But my problem with them now is it looks like they are just allowing so much pressure out of ECU. Can't do that. Eventually a crack will arrive, and when that crack splinters and all of a sudden turns into a canyon, it will easily be a goal in favor of ECU. So they need to be careful right now. UNC are allowing a lot of pressure out of their opponents, and if they're not careful, it could cost them the game.
That's a good pass up. Dagger trying to reach it with 0 boost. Manages to. Won't be able to get the shot off, though. That is the cost of at least getting a touch there. Facilitated to the teammates, but unfortunately with nobody here. ECU, they're still trying to make amends and get that goal go ahead for them. Dagger, oh my, Igno, that's scary.
Well, it's a rather scary scenario here still for UNCA. They're just trying to clear this off the half, but whiff like that could cost them dearly. All of a sudden, it's Igno in the corner who has to just try and facilitate a counterattack. They'll do exactly that, but the pinch will go the other way. 90 seconds left here. ECU have a good offense building, but UNCA, they have found themselves resistance every time. Good 50-50. Onyx, though, trying to send this one to the backboard, and will not get a touch, so yeah, the panic's still a little bit here, Hyperia. The chaos reigns supreme, but who's going to come out on top? The ruler, neither squad so far. 75 seconds to go, and ECU cannot hit the mark.
ECU is 0-0, and they're already trying to style off the backboard, get a ridiculous angle going for themselves, and that does seem to be the case. ECU, they seem more mechanically solid, where UNCA, they're able to play their strengths perfectly here. Wait for ECU goal and then go on the counter offense. Ethan is able to swat it out of the net though and keep it clear. UNCA still pressing the issue. Dagger able to get it clear, but it's a cheeky touch and that could be dangerous for UNCA.
It could be, but so far all the danger has been averted back and forth, and somehow both teams have been able to avoid that final blow to put it into the back of the net. ECU, though, they did have a decent amount of pressure. I was going to say, if Onyxis can get a touch here, they might just be able to keep this one up, but not if Pajak can take this one the other way and start to facilitate an offense for UNCA instead. Uh-oh, that's a big fake out in midfield. Ethan saw the defender trying to rush him, so now he'll take it the other way. Flip reset in the pocket, but they can't quite connect, so ECU, they've got one last offense here, Hyperia. Otherwise, we head to overtime.
That overtime seems imminent, but ECU, they've still got one more attack to boot. That's going to go on and roll on in, Igno. And make sure that we don't enter it right in regulatory time. Oh, that was way too close.
That was way too close for comfort, but similarly, ECU, they knew how close it was, but did not want to overextend. A couple opportunities there to possibly end it out, but they would rather take the guarantee in overtime. Ethan will indeed guarantee it. 7 seconds in, and ECU take their second game.
Oh my, that mistouch in the corner player in an impossible position. I'm not too sure whether that was going in. I will refrain from making a statement on that because the uncertainty surrounding it way too huge in ECU. They don't make it an uncertainty who's the winner of that match. Is all but a done deal.
Indeed, it is all but a done deal at this point here. And yeah, you're getting there. It's pretty much the series really is at this point almost finished because we've got a 2-0 lead for East Carolina University. Hyperia, I'm a bit concerned right now because as much as UNCA are doing well, they are getting themselves momentum. They have yet to have a shot on target that truly impresses me and I think really catches the defense by surprise. ECU have been so comfortable throughout this match.
They're doing well at fending off the attacks that ECU are setting up, but I feel like they're still a little bit lackluster in the counter offensive that they're trying to set up. It's not necessarily an entire squad pushing forward because they seem afraid a bit of the overcommit. And as soon as you are afraid of that and you don't necessarily have the perfect rotation, you're only going to bite yourself because you rely on that solo individual pop-off play. That's just not really been on the horizon for them. And on the side of ECU, it would have been fair enough, but on the side of UNC, I feel like they need to move as a unit to try and take down ECU.
100% agreed. And oh, they also need to make sure that Ethan can't keep stunting. Any boost left in the tank, that is almost guaranteed a goal. The star-studded striker has done a great job at facilitating offense after offense for his squad. Question is are they going to be able to find an early offense here? Demo's out of nowhere. That's completely open. Talk about facilitation. How about a clear lane on the highway? Look at the demos.
Oh my, everybody's been downsized in the defensive end on Nixus. Even though it might seem like a simple shot, there's actually a lot more intricacy to it because the way he hit it and the angle he was coming at it from, he did have to lean his car back and air roll. It's not impossible to miss that. And on ECU, they did well on the conversion shortly thereafter and actually redeem their chance. Onyxis yet again back into the center, but as soon as Onyxis is the one to pass it, the rest of the team seem far out.
Unfortunately, right now, it does feel like both of these teams are playing a little bit too distant for their own liking here. For ECU, it's because they want to play a little bit more spread out and be prepared for anything that UNCA throw at them and also be prepared in case their teammates make mistakes. On the other end for UNCA, I think it's more that they are nervous right now. They're staring down the barrel of a sweep against their opponents, and we were asking for anything but that, and they are as well. They will not go down without a fight, but can they save this one? Onyxis puts it to the backboard. Dagger there for the follow-up, and ECU increased their lead to 2.
What a touch by Onyxis to even extend the second time. That was something they did not see coming, and they had to accept the oncoming attacker as well. ECU do well yet again in that attack and then to stun UNCA and kind of stun Tom them with it as well. Ethan trying to stunt. He wants to go over the ceiling there, but he quickly realized that ball was dropping way too low.
A little bit of an ambitious play, but hey, listen, we're never one to knock ambition. Maybe not right now with 3 minutes remaining and a 2-0 lead. For UNCA, this one's not set in stone, and for ECU, it's not either, especially when she can find the opening goal, and that is more than just the opening goal for the team. That is the first goal this series after just about 12 minutes of uncontested play. Finally, UNCA get on the board.
An uncharacteristic miss on the back end by Onyx is not something you expect, but something you would gladly take if you're a UNCA player or fan or whatever, waiting for a good series. Right now, it seems to be ECU dominance. They want to exert that down the other end yet again, but UNCA, they managed to at least swipe it out. They're struggling, though, in that defensive end.
They are. It really does feel like the panic is starting to set in right now as the two teams just continue to exchange blows back and forth and back and forth. Halfway through this game, UNCA are starting to get some offense together, but can they find a solid shot on target? Igno will try to set up his teammate, but all he does is give a good 50-50 that pinches all the way out. 2.5 minutes to go here. UNCA getting close to goals, but Hyperia close only counts in horseshoes.
Why?
What, you've never heard that?
I'm silly forwarder.
Yeah, I was about to realize that's probably the most American reference I could have made. Yeah, so horseshoes, the way that it works is if you can hook it around the post, that's good. But if you just get it close, that counts for points and counts in your favor. So, like I said, only counts in horseshoes.
It's a game of horseshoe throwing.
Yeah. Wait, you've never heard of that?
No, I'm not. I mean, I am from a rural part, but we don't care about horses that much.
That's a fair point, fair point, fair
Horseshoes.
point. Either way, yeah, close only counts in horseshoes, and right now, it's not counting at all, because
Whoa.
UNCA have gotten so close so many times, but there we go. They finally put another one on target. Sheik has come to life, and they will give their team another chance.
Close only counts when it actually is into the back of the net shortly thereafter. And Rocket League, that's the same we like to use in my back end of the woods. That's all tied up. UNCA done what was seemingly impossible in the previous 2 games and tie it all up against ECU. But ECU, they're directly back on the prow. An uncomfortable short will not go in directly, but Ethan is actually still going to convert.
I feel like I missed something here. I mean, this is a nice touch to the center, but I was going to say, I thought someone would get a touch there. Props to Ethan for recognizing the opportunity. A goal is a goal, and for ECU, that could be the end of the series.
Hope not. I want to see this continue. I don't want to see a sweep. Just go to game 5. Then sure, ECU can win. And Igno, he wants to prevent it as well, but nobody there from UNCA. And directly, Ethan langs it all the way to the backward. Good touch infield as well. And that might just be the dagger. I feel like I hear some curtains closing as well.
Oh, this is just absolutely filthy. Come on now, Ethan. Recognizes the first, pops it around a second. Solo play to possibly plunge the dagger here. As UNCA now need to make a 2-goal comeback with 70 seconds remaining. And not only do they need to do that, High Fear, they then need to hold on for another 2 games in a row. But Igno, they're not going to give up quite yet. They're going to put some shots on target, but Onyxis will turn it away, and Ethan will turn away the follow-up as well. 1 minute remaining here, and despite their best efforts, ECU are still giving no room to breathe to UNCA.
And that's exactly what you need to be seeing out of ECU at this moment, and that is wide, only barely though. UNCA are trying their absolute best to trying to get something going in this match, but Onyxis, he'll bury them 6 feet deep instead.
I think that might just be it. You can hear the fat lady singing, and unfortunately, she is saying there will be no encore. East Carolina University are up 3 with just about a minute remaining, and unfortunately for UNCA, it'll take a miracle for them to turn this around.
Miracles are a thing, not necessarily in this matchup, I reckon. UNCA... They've not really had the offensive prowess. The only goals that they've had in the entire series are in this game. They're at least able to get third. So it's not entirely impossible.
It is technically possible here. It's not going to be easy, like we said. You know, with the little time that they have, they're not only fighting their opponents, but they truly are fighting the clock right now. But listen, plays like that out of Igno give a little bit of life left in this team. They only need 2 goals, 2 good kickoffs, and we're back to a tied ball game.
2 kickoffs. It does need to be in your favor, and quickly as well. Sheik able to punt it to the backboard. Ethan lobs it away, though, and that might already be enough for ECU, especially if they're going to get a goal here. A uncomfortable clear out, or the lack thereof. I think that this could have been a touch, and this probably should have been a touch as well.
Should have been, could have been, would have been. It's all in the past at this point here. And now in the present, I think that that's the end of the game here. 12 seconds to go. UNCA showed a little bit of life at the end of this one, but that spark of life has unfortunately fizzled out. And ECU have found themselves an explosive end to this series. Congratulations to ECU, picking up 6 goals in their final game and going for a 7th as well. They will not find it, but they will find the sweep either way. And East Carolina University continue on with their dominant season.
Well, and our stream continues on with sweep season as well. Yet another one on the cards. It's unfortunate. This one felt like it had the opportunity, and it's kind of the same as all the others. It felt like there was some fight in the opposing team, but it usually ends up with them coming up empty and not necessarily being able to utilize that potential to their fullest.
I feel like there was a lot that could have been added there, if that makes sense. Not that the team played poorly, but there's just a little bit of inconsistency that left them vulnerable, and as a result, they really took advantage. So, congratulations to ECU here. A very hard-fought win, but for UNCA, I expect big things out of you guys in the future. Again, we've been talking about unsweepy sweeps. I feel like that was one of the more unsweepy ones.
Unsweepy sweeps. Yeah. It's been a case of the entirety of tonight, and I want to see that change. I want to have something not be as sweet. Please give us a game 5.
I'd love to see it, but we've got one last chance at that here. Folks, we've concluded our first 3 matches, but now we've got one last one. BVU Navy versus Carroll University. When we return, the 2 teams will battle it out in one last best of 5, so do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League Week number 4 here on the B Stream. My name is Bass from the Past, and for the final time tonight, I will introduce my lovely co-caster, Hyperia. As Hype, we get into our last matchup of the night. It is BVU Navy versus Carroll University, as the two teams battle it out in one last best of 5 here on the B Stream.
One final best of 5, and we've only seen 3 games every single time, and we need to up that. We need to up the stat, and well, that can perhaps happen here in the final match. It's a 2-1 team against a 1-1 team, so it could be incredibly close again.
Again, we don't really know, because at this point, unfortunately, we don't have a full record here for Carroll University. They say 1-1, but they also did play a game against Concordia, Wisconsin, so never really know. That being said, the big thing for the Navy here is that it's a really good a really good back half of this one. And while the beginning of this one was not too strong for them, they take an initial loss to the Firebirds in week 1. It's been 2 weeks in a row, a 3-0 sweep over NTC previously, and then a 3-1 over Blue Gold Esports. So one of these things where I think BVU are on the upswing right now, whereas Carroll University are going to need to try and bounce back from a sweep that they faced last week against Colorado College White. But I'm interested in this one, Hyperia. We've got a lot on the line here for these two teams, so let's take a look at their lineups. Let's take a look at BVU Navy here. The trio that will be playing today is going to be Sky, Nada Jewel, and Dylan.
A very solid squad to be fielding. I feel like you left out the most important statistic. They both played NTC White. They both won against them. But BVU, they did it in a 3-0 as opposed to Carroll, who did it in a 3-1 scoreline. And well, Carroll, they also have a lineup they're going to be fielding here. Sky, Nada Jewel, and Dylan are going to take it up against the roster from Carroll University.
Indeed they are, and this lineup on the other side here as we take a look at Carroll University, going to be a little bit different. We've been talking about the different years that these players are in. We have yet to see a junior here tonight, but finally we do. So a mix-up all across the board here as we've got Jacob, Visions, and Riser taking on for the side of Carroll University.
I make sure to spread it out, get different ideas about how to play the game, perhaps. And, well, there's not really a lot to be said about the spread that they're adapting. That's a cool little fun statistic.
It's always nice. You gotta like that, seeing diversity here. It's always nice to see a range of different ages from the players that are playing. And, well, we're just about to see them play here. We gotta get into game number 1 here of this best of 5 momentarily. Like we said, Hyperia, all we're really looking for at this point is not a sweep. Please, that's all we want. We've had 3 3-0s in a row, and as much as I believe that this could go back and forth, I don't know, man. Something's in the air tonight.
Something is in the air, and it's a sweeping motion every single time. Go next, GG, and on to the next one. That hopefully isn't the case. And I think game number 1 is going to be very telling, because game number 1 has been... We always want to write it off, but game 1 today, at least, has been one of those factors where you set the tone, and that tone is continued for the rest of the symphony, and there's no change in it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the way, is if you can put yourself, stamp your mark on the series out the gates, all of a sudden a team has to second-guess themselves and really second-guess their abilities to try and contain you. So I'm interested here. It does feel like probably BVU Navy are going to come into this one just slightly the favorites, considering they did not drop a game against NTC White last week, but you never really know. So let's find out. BVU versus Carroll, game number 1 underway.
And Rose already taken off the cards entirely. Good pass from Visions along to Sky. They're starting this strong on the side of BVU. They are attempting the Carroll defense. They are at least able to punch their way out on the side of Carroll. And that long clear over the top might just do it. No, Jewel is back to clear it away.
Clear it away, but how far are they going to clear it, especially when Riser is putting shots like that on target? End-to-end here, 30 seconds into this one, and I'm thinking, Hyperia, this might not necessarily be as one-sided as before. Ooh, but they do need to be careful. Carroll thinking they're lucky stars as that one ricochets off the bar and out. Had that been on target, I don't think anyone in Carroll was prepared for it.
Absolutely not, and a great rotation coming in there from the BVU side as well. Instead of both of them cutting in rotation and cutting in line in the play, they take a back half rotation. They go wide with it, join the rotation back at the hip again. Get out of defense on the side of Carroll. That rotation for Carroll also looking solidified.
The rotations on both sides looking pretty solid here, so what's going to be the difference maker? So far, a minute of gameplay gone. Neither one of the teams been able to find themselves to the back of the net, and definitely not for a lack of trying, as shots have ricocheted off the woodwork already. Can we find a shot here that doesn't ricochet? Carroll's starting to put on the pressure, but now they need a shot on target. And as Riser is turning away with 0 boost in the tank, they will not find one. Jewel almost finds one on the other end there. That would have been absolutely massive. BVU found a breakaway play, and had they connected, that almost certainly would have been a goal.
The main difference has been converting on those chances that you can get. Or at least tonight, that has been the theme. And BVU not showing that same lethality that's been shown earlier tonight. That is allowing avenues for Carroll that they're willing to take as well. They're at least stepping on the road and trying to cross paths with BVU and get a sneaky one out from underneath them. Thus far, they still both have come up empty entirely with Dylan. He extends into Riser.
This is one no one has been able to find themselves the back of the net yet, and like we said, really isn't for a lack of trying. It has been shots on either end just barely going off the mark. So who's going to be the one to finally put something a little bit more lethal? I like that passing out center, but again, there's been a little bit of the issue. Off the mark yet again. The whiff out at midfield is going to cost them dearly. That whiff in the air almost did as well. I was going to be critical of the double commit, but the double commit had not happened. That would have certainly been a goal.
Sometimes the double commit does genuinely just work out. When it's a tough read, there's not too much to falter. And my word, Jacob, be careful in the defensive end. You can't let the ball stroll on, but you can do it perfectly. If you have a good game read, that's exactly what Jacob had. Able to carry it all the way down the other end. Sky pops it up as well. No follow-up coming through. And that seems to be the case for BVU right now. They get the pop-up. They try and get it clear, but Carroll, they put it right back into the attack.
They're putting it right back into the attack, but unfortunately for both sides, no one's been able to find a solid attack so far. It's end-to-end here, so what's going to be the difference maker? Could it be an open net right here? No visions, gets in the way and does not allow that one to go on target. But what about the follow-up off the post and out? And the follow-up player will not get there in time. BVU is just... oh, it's so heartbreaking. They're getting so close, but they just can't get there. 90 seconds to go, and it's heartbreaking, Hyperia. Someone should have a goal at this point.
Well, Jill Trust facilitate you in that request. Carroll managed to swat it wide, and Sky yet again up high. That's going to bounce on down. Dylan doesn't even get an attempt to the read. Jill, that's dangerous, actually. The recovery also lacking. Vision into the center. Good shot coming through. Riser is just wide on both posts, and it bounces outwards.
That's the most unlucky. I mean, we've been talking about unlucky all day. That really is. The fact that it not only hit one post, but hit the other one, and then the player that was there just couldn't figure out how to read it. Speaking of can't read it, they can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. Carroll throwing everything at their opponents, but the backboard is the only thing that will be hit. Something's got to give here, Hyperia. This is so much pressure from Carroll.
On the contrary, though, also on the side of Navy. Oh my word, that's a good push through and a push into the net before he will convert the ball into the goal mouth, as well as Carroll finally opening up the scoring.
They finally do. It took a little while, but they finally get themselves that first goal, and it is a well-deserved one at that. 30 seconds to go here. Vision might have just secured the game for the team, but there is no guarantees considering the time and considering that Jewel has a breakaway play. Turned away by the defense, but they're not done yet. Dylan turned away again. 20 seconds to go, Hyperia, and it looks like BVU have finally awoken their offense.
It does not matter whether you're awake. You need to actually bury it deep into the back of the net. Right now, Carroll are doing an exquisite job at holding on, and a long clear sends it all the way downfield. A lot of seconds wasted off this clock. Riser, one last infield pass for Carroll, and they're just going to hit the dirt. And Carroll, they get game number 1 under their belt.
They do so very, very narrow fashion there. I don't want to say that that one was, completely in favor of Carroll the whole time, because it felt like BVU were starting to find some things and put the puzzle pieces together. But there are no guarantees here in this one. And they're, again, like we said, close only counts in horseshoes at this point. And unfortunately, this ain't that. This is Rocket League right now. And these guys have got to try and battle this one out now in game number 2. You know what? I'm not even going to say it. I like that this series so far is looking close. That's all I'm going to say.
I can't imagine that Carroll are going to get a sweep here. BVU have been looking so incredibly strong. I'll say it now. I'm resisting to cast the curses, apparently. So there's no way. BVU they've been showing up. They've been able to at least get into the attack and put on promising shots. That's not something we've seen the rest of the day.
That's very accurate. I would have to agree with you. The only difference is you got to remember resistance ain't the same thing as immunity. And as much as I would love to guarantee that we're not going to get a sweep here, dude, I don't know. Something in the air, man. Something in the air makes me feel like this is just the way that it is going to go. Let's find out. Can we find something besides that? Can we see BVU with a good response here in game number 2? Or will Carroll punch their ticket to at minimum series point? Only time will tell. Game number 2 underway.
Ooh, that's uncomfortable. And I guess that's one way they... Okay, yeah, no, that's one way to move through down the other end. There's no making a point here. It's just straight fire from the get-go.
A great shot, a great pass, and unfortunately, it's not the defense we were really looking for. Usually the defense so prepared there, but I'll be honest, the passing play was just too quick. They were definitely not expecting it. Catches them off guard. Now it gives the lead to VVU and the first goal for them all series. Maybe they can even tack on another one here. Sky already facilitating yet another offense here. Dylan in the wings is going to try and just pop this back into the half. Do need to be careful. It feels like they maybe are underestimating Carroll and this offense, considering the aggression they're putting out. One errant touch goes the other way, and all of a sudden, this is right back to a tied ball game.
The tied ball game, even though it being close, it still feels miles away right now, especially when BVU are on the prowl for a double up. And an unfortunate situation for Dylan makes that opportunity going awry. Not a good challenge, though, and Carroll, they're still on the back end, struggling to get it away, but this BVU side is exactly why I think that this won't end in the sweep. Carroll, they have to step it up massively to want to bring it back here again.
I 100% agree with you. I believe that this cannot be a sweep. I just unfortunately can't guarantee it here because, again, Carroll have shown themselves to be a very resilient team. When the pressure was on at the end of the last game, BVU still couldn't find a way to penetrate that defense. So, let's see, can Carroll show that resilience again here? They are down 1-0, but they have plenty of time to try and turn this one around with 3.5 minutes on the clock. But they are getting pressed into their half yet again. Jules got time and space up top here. They wanted the flip reset, but ooh, Vision, you probably should have dove on that one. They get lucky and bailed out by their teammates, but that was way too close for comfort.
I've got a question for you. It's a cultural question here, right? I'm looking through the interesting facts and the sub of BVU has not scored. It's Dylan scoring. We'll go over the interesting facts later on. What a peach here.
This is a really good beat out of Dylan. They recognize that there's just a little bit of space on the left side and try and squeeze it in. But, I mean, hey, BVU starting to show that you may be right here, Hyperia. They've got a decent amount of fight in them, and maybe Carroll just found them while they were a little bit asleep in game number 1. So, find out. 3 minutes remaining. Carroll do have time for a response. But speaking of responses, I'd like to hear this. What is the interesting fact for their sub?
Well, he works on the university farm, and I'm just... Why is there a university farm? Why is this not a goal? Why there's no harvest being reaped here?
I mean, I appreciate the pun. I gotta say that was pretty fantastic. But yeah, no. If your question is what is a university farm? I don't know. I have never heard of a university farm. I've heard of like university gardens where people can like plant some food or whatever, and they can like make their own or grow their own vegetables and such. But I've never heard of a university farm. I would love to ask them about that. That sounds fascinating, and ooh, that looks dangerous. BVU, my oh my, they're getting scarily close to a third goal.
BVU, they're pushing through. Their advance is not staggering. It won't halt for anyone. BVU, I guess they're going to have to get to a halt where you get demoed entirely. Jewel and Dylan doubling up on the commit, but that actually sends it on target. Somehow, BVU, the double commits, they're making it work, and the free jumps as well. Sky just takes a flight early on. Jewel, actually with a double tap, but runs out of boost.
Out a boost here, and unfortunately it's the little things right now that are separating the two teams here. Carroll have just barely been unable to find themselves a goal, and they've had so much offensive pressure, it feels just unjust. Maybe they can turn this around. 100 seconds left. It's absolutely possible for Carroll to get back into this one, but they need a good shot on target. Booming clear like that might be able to facilitate an offense, and with a miss in the corner, they've got them on the ropes, but Jacob, that's a little bit ambitious, my friend. Maybe try and play this a bit more standard. These diving... well, actually, lacks of a dive, I should say, is what is costing them severely, and the pressure that they cannot sustain as it stands right now, Hyperia.
BVU, they don't necessarily need to withstand any pressure for a elongated amount of time. They're still sitting comfortable in a 2-goal lead. And Carroll, they can push all they will. They actually need to crack the seal here. Carroll Actually, Jacob up high. Carroll, they still struggle to puncture it. They have to go back on that defensive end. The carry away also not happening. And Jill nicely catching in the midfield. I like the way that BVU are playing this out.
And they're playing very carefully, and I really enjoy the way that BVU is playing, but they do need to be, oh my word, careful to a T, because right now the pressure is on, and Carroll, they're just trying to disrupt. Not a bad idea out of vision to go for the bump there, but need a shot on target. That could be the one. Jacob just barely off the mark, and his risers all the way on the back half with 0 boost. They have to play this one carefully. But luckily enough, Vision is still up here and playing a little bit of an aggressive play. 20 seconds to go, and unfortunately, I think that this one is all but set in stone here. BVU, they have the 2-0 lead, and as much as Carroll can try and get one for the road, I don't think they can change the outcome.
Vision doing a little bit of breakdancing. I think he knows his fate. I think he knows it's over, so might as well. Actually, yeah, no, it's over. It's done. It's curtains, and guess what, Bass? You don't
Get
have
it.
sweep.
Oh my gosh, we finally did it.
Let it go.
Woo! BVU Navy will take themselves their first game of the series, but they do actually get a shutout as well, so it's now making me think that maybe that could be the start of the turnaround. We have to remember that Carroll found an early goal in game number 1. Since then, they have not been able to score, so I'm not going to say that this one is entirely in favor of BVU from here on out, but it does feel like Carroll, the spark of life they had in game number 1, it has been extinguished.
Well, Carroll, they kind of like to play from that defensive end. Also, in that game number 1, they were more reprimanded on their own side and trying to puncture through sometimes, but not often. It was more of those one-off opportunities that they were able to convert. Then, unfortunately, they've come up empty, and that does spell trouble for the later stages where BVU, if they just close up their back end, they're sitting solid.
I would agree with you on that. It does feel like this is going to be a very defensive game back and forth. The offenses have been getting close, but if the offenses are only close, and all of a sudden, whoever actually gets a goal is really going to have to clutch onto them for their life. Speaking of lives, this could be the one that determines it all here, because BVU and Carroll, winner of this moves on to series point and will only need a single win further to solidify themselves the series. And Carroll find a good response after a 2-0 shutout in favor of BVU Navy. Only time will tell. Game number 3 underway.
Jewel taking it to the skies. Good 50. Sky all the way down the other end. That's an awkward read. He'll just stay on the backboard. Sky can't drop it down enough. There's a touch there. Awkwardly trickling here. Carroll, they need to be afraid because BVU, they're pressing their advantages.
Ooh, not a bad touch out of Jewel, but I don't think it's really going to be able to lead to much more. Not if the bumps happen in net. Sky finds a clear lane. And oh my, that's a heck of a way to get yourself on the board.
Okay. What a shot. Nicely placed on target with the pointy bit of your car as well, with an edge. Because you always generate more power once you hit it with that edge perfectly down the side. But Jacob got a good 50 off kickoff. Took Sky. Trusts to be incredibly intricate with it. That styling, I don't necessarily like to see when BVU are only up by 1. It feels like that could have been a very good opportunity gone begging due to stylish behavior.
I would agree with you on that. It feels like they need to set the tone right now. We talked about that earlier on and how important it is to really get in the face of your opponents and make them uncomfortable. When you go for silly plays like that, all of a sudden the team can take a deep breath and not necessarily stress as much. So for Carroll right now, I want to see them find a good response to BVU. And for BVU, I want to see them continue with this pressure. They cannot allow this to go back in favor of Carroll. But just as soon as I say it, it will happen. 1-1, Jacob ties us up.
Okay. There they go. And they don't necessarily get the opportunity often, but once they do, they're going to punt it through, and Carroll and put themselves back into the game. I think at a great point as well, because otherwise BVU, they could just start running away with it, and then it does get scary. Once BVU come into their own, it's going to be so difficult to stop them, but Carroll, they still is struggling to swat it out time and time again here.
They are. It feels like the struggle on both sides is a lot to do with, I think, the panic. A couple of really uncharacteristic whiffs here and there have just made the team seem a little bit more nervous than usual. That's an interesting dive from Jacob. I'm not necessarily going to hate it, but I do think that it's a little bit too risky for my liking. Again, the teams have been separated by very small things. Little whiffs on defense, shots going off target. So when you're playing a little bit too arrogantly, it can come back to bite you. 3 minutes to go here, and as much as I love the bravery, maybe be a little bit less bold with it.
Jewel diving underneath, still actually puts himself in a position. Jewel, all you need to do is spike this down, but that's too far wide, not able to facilitate a shooting opportunity. And Carroll They'll carry it all the way down the other end. Jacob potentially with another shot, actually pinching it underneath instead. Riser soaring through the sky. Dylan finally with some reprieve vision to catch it and move it out to the side.
To the side for now here, and with half the game remaining, this is still anybody's ball game. I would say this is a more important game here for Carroll to try and just sort of show that, hey, it was not a flash in the pan. We are not just a one-and-done team. We can actually fight against you, and despite the fact that we've had good offense here, we can do it on repeat. I gotta feel for BVU right now. It feels like they probably should have been able to have a second goal here. We talk about that one flashy play they had earlier. Now it could come back to bite them and really be the only thing separating the teams here in this game. 2 minutes to go. Carroll technically have the offensive pressure right now, but as it leaks out to midfield, I'm thinking we might just be going into a bit of a ping-pong match.
That ping-pong match is always, just, to me, indicative of uncertainty. You don't want to overstep, so you just yank it clear every single time. And Visions, yet again, he's afraid of the Dylan challenge. I'm not too sure what went on here. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to need to understand this a little bit more. Obviously, Dylan's the last one back, but I think he might have just over-pushed that one, not really expecting Vision to just pop it over his head, but unfortunately, no matter the reasoning, the results are the same. 2-1 here. BVU now need to try and claw this one back, and they really do need to now play from behind because they had the lead in this game. They scored the first goal, and it's been 2 unanswered from Carroll since then. So, BVU, this is a big game for you guys. Do not let this one slip away, because if you do, Carroll move on to series point, and they might just be able to close it out.
Carroll, they like their very barren few opportunities. They will make sure they actually convert upon them. Sky, they'll put another one on the board for BVU. That's gone big in, but it doesn't really matter. That's the BVU style. They like to put a lot of pressure on their opponents and make them crash slowly. But surely, and Carroll, they just do it swift.
They do. It feels like both of these teams are doing a good job at just keeping up the pace of play. But again, they don't really have a lot of time to waste here. 50 seconds to go. And Carroll, if they find another goal right here, right now, would be massive for the team and their confidence. There are no guarantees at this point. And honestly, there are no more goals to be found unless they can get past this defense. The defense, for the first time, has a little bit of a break. But unfortunately, they are not quite prepared for it. So Carroll, they saw a chance to close out this game, but they'll have to go back to the drawing board for now.
BVU got 30 seconds that they can use to convert one. They only need one, and this could be that opportunity. Dylan, he gets it right in front of his car, yanks it into the hands of Jewel, but there's an interception there as well by Visions. Clear away happening as well. Visions able to carry it all the way down the other end, and that's it. That's game. Carroll, they get onto match point.
They do, and they do so by just kind of stifling any sort of momentum that everyone from BVU were trying to get. It's been the unfortunate truth here today, as we've seen this a lot. As soon as teams start to have a little bit of a back and forth, one of the two of them finds the momentum and just kind of runs away with it. That's what I was nervous about after looking at game number 2. The way that Carroll played that one, I was thinking that maybe they were going to run away with this series. And considering they have now put in a 4th goal before the end of regulation, I think that we might be there. Hyperia, it's going to be a heck of a turnaround here if BVU want to try and take this one.
On BVU, they kind of seem to crumble near the end of the game. Of course, this goal entirely pointless, and it's not going to influence the standings whatsoever. Carroll, they already punched their ticket through. But BVU, they seem to be a little bit annoyed that Carroll are not getting enough opportunities or not getting as much opportunities as they are, but scoring and converting more. And it is a frustrating spot. You need to just get it out of your brain and move on with your life.
That's the unfortunate thing, is as much as we say this all the time, you know, the GG go next, just sort of shake off what it is. That's a lot easier said than done for most people, myself included. You take a rough loss, you kind of just have that one sit in the back of your mental for so incredibly long, and it's difficult. I really cannot overstate how difficult it is going to be now for BVU to just sort of ignore the factors at play. You give up after getting a shutout against your opponents. You then give up 4 goals. You now have series point, and now you cannot afford to lose another game. All of those will be lingering in the back of their minds, so they've got to be careful here, Hyperia. The pressure is against BVU, but now they need to stand up to the test.
Well, standing up to the test, it's an important week for advancement of your record. Being 2-1 is decent, but 3-1, that all of a sudden is good. You want to be sitting pretty, especially against somebody who could be your direct opposition. You need to take home that victory. Carroll, they've punted themselves forward better than BVU and are able to go into this potential final match here. But Joe, he'll open up the scoring.
They've done this before, though, so I'm not going to guarantee anything yet. Last time, BVU did have the early goal. This time, they do it again in game number 4. Question is can they send themselves to game number 5? They've now got to hold on to this lead. We said this before. BVU, a rather offensive team. Carroll are a lot better at holding on to these leads and just playing defensively from here on out. So for BVU, I'd actually like to see them get another couple goals if they really want to secure this one. Oh,
Dylan.
And they will.
Oh. Yep, there you go. You ask and thou shall receive, my liege. That's what you like. 2-0 lead now.
I mean, I like the 2-0 lead. I would agree with you on that. I don't know if I like your terminology and the phrasing here, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And 4:44 left on the clock. I appreciate that as well. BVU now going to have to try and hold on to their lead. I don't think that this is going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but having them have that little bit of an extra buffer room is massive for this squad.
You can keep on talking, but you're what's wrong with my phrasing?
What? All right, listen, we are equals. I am not royalty. None of them are, equals. No liege,
You're my king.
You're my queen.
Yes. Ooh, Joe. He's not going to get it clear on that. Vision, he already saw that happening. Great play there. Clear away by Jacob here. That was namely what did it.
That is a half volley and a half, and well, I guess that's a full volley at that point there. So yeah, we'll take it. 2-1 here. Carroll showing they've got a little bit of life left in them, and I'm realizing I fear ya. 3 goals. It's been 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's going rapid, mate. We're already falling off the deep end, though. That's probably the worst part. We're 40 seconds in, and we've already deteriorated that far. Yeah. It's not necessarily great. I mean, it is late. I guess that we've got that going for us. We've got somewhat of an excuse, some sort of copium, but BVU, they don't have copium if Carroll make this comeback, and it's going to happen right here. No, actually, Vision misses the ball entirely.
Just a little bit off the mark here. And hey, listen, it's matching what's happening on the pitch right now. The commentary in the booth is chaotic. The pitch is chaotic here. And, well, I guess chaos reigns supreme. That's really who's wearing the crown here today. With 3.5 minutes remaining, I do need Carroll to be able to make this comeback, but they've got to rush this one. It feels like they're getting close to offenses, but every single time BVU are able to just stomp it out and not allow them to get any sort of extra pressure. Pass out to the side. This could be on target. That would have been the best play we see all day. Just barely off the mark is Jacob, but my, oh my, what a chance.
Jewel gonna try and create another chance to make you scream. Visions. He's gonna leave that to his teammate. The angle, impossible. Jewel still with clear away. This guy is keeping the ball close, trying to get down the other end. Pops it over Riser, or at least attempts to. Sky diving underneath. A lot of chaos happening, but it seems to be Carroll to dive out of the smoke with the ball in their hands.
Oh my word, this one, it's getting real nerve-wracking as these little touches on the back half are just trying to prevent the inevitable, which is more pressure from Carroll. They retreat all the way into their own half, and with all the boost in the tank in the world, they should be able to at least find a shot, but all of them go off target, whip in front of the net, the other one goes wide, and Carroll had the opportunity, but they squander it.
I've still got 2 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. I guess that's plenty of time to get another one of those opportunities, but it does feel bad as soon as you have that opportunity to tie it back up early on and it goes awry. You kind of punish yourself extra harshly, especially if Sky's able to facilitate a goal with your BVU. They're not up into the box and they're just taking a defensive approach as Sky carries it all the way back into the hands of Jewel. They are not going to get it away entirely. Carroll, they finally have a decent attack.
Not great, though. Vision's immediately stuffed out at midfield there. Is going to make it difficult for them to break out and really get an attack together, especially when Dylan's got boost in the tank, but they don't actually have boost in the tank. They've only got about 30, and while that's a solid shot, I don't think it's going to be enough to penetrate the back of that net and further increase the lead here for BVU. Oh, but this one could. Dylan misses it, and the follow-up from Sky is perfectly placed. Bar down and in, and BVU might just send us to game number 5.
It is looking to be the case. We've had all sweeps, and then at the cream de la crop, we get a game 5. It's on the cards, and it might be out of stock in the end. It's up to BVU to actually export it into us. Carroll, they've got at least a goal back here, and well, we're still with 90 seconds remaining. One goal in it, certainly possible.
Extremely possible, especially considering the fact that this team, when they do get lethal punches, they are exactly that. Knockout blows on repeat. They've hit the haymaker, they've hit a nice right hook, but can they hit the uppercut that sends us to overtime? It's up to Carol to do so. They've got the time, but they definitely need to play this carefully, High Furia. Another goal goes in favor of BVU. I am confident we're going to game number 5.
Did you say carefully?
Ooh, that one I like. That'll give you a 9. That's actually really well done. That's brilliant.
Thank you. I thought I was gonna get a reprimand and an over lifetime here. I thought I was gonna get punched.
Just through the monitor, just straight up, just fight you through the I mean, hey man, listen, I've seen some incredible things with technology. I don't think that's one quite yet here. And well, I think the punches are gonna have to be left on the pitch here instead. 50 seconds to go, and Carol looking like they want to throw a couple more haymakers. Where's that uppercut? Where's the overtime? 45 seconds, Carol do not want to let this one go in favor of BVU and head to game number 5.
It's just that incredibly intense scenario. They've got an opportunity right here. Goes wide, and Jewel read it with perfection. Dylan on the carry away, but it's still 50 landing into the center. Jacob turns in for it, but will be arriving late with no boost in attack. That opportunity completely squandered, and they're going to have to get another one right from their own roots. Riser diving past the ball entirely. At least Vision, he's got some boost to work with and a whole lot of space. Nobody challenging him. He whips it over, and Joe awkward. Double tap imminent, and Jacob, he'll make it overtime. Incredibly likely.
Oh, this is why we say you cannot give space to a team that's feeling confident. Vision pops it up high, and before you can blink, Jacob is there for the follow-up. We've seen this 1-2 combo enough times, but how about 1-2 and wings? They are able to go through the sky, soaring like an eagle. And now the question is, can they take out their prey like the eagle as well? Carol looking to finish this one out in 4, but I think they're going to have to do it at the end of this one in overtime. Wait a minute, this is booming. Dylan, he needs to save it, or no, he does not. Off the mark, and BVU wipe the sweat off their brow as they head to overtime.
Oh my, if I have a 3-point view on it, and I think that's in, I can imagine how much BVU were panicking, but Carol, they've at least made themselves be able to give themselves a shot here. It is still overtime, and this is not done by any stretch of the imagination. A pinch into the center, Sky. Gonna hit that wide. Vision still back into Jewel. Jewel, get the clear away.
Clear away, and actually it's going to work even better than a clear. I thought Dylan would be able to facilitate that, but these heavy touches right now out of BVU, they're not really linking up with their teammates all that well, as much as they're just kind of giving away possession. Carol, again, the time and space that Carol is being given right now makes me nervous that BVU are getting a little bit too hesitant for my liking, especially considering that there's plays out of midfield like that. But Vision just misses the ball! Jewel puts it in, and we're heading to game 5! Oh, no.
Oh, that is an incredibly painful way to go to game number 5. Obviously not for BVU. They don't care about what massacre they've caused down the other side emotionally. They'll very much take it. That was odd, to put it nicely.
Hey, man, a goal is a goal. And that's what we have found. And it's, we found ourselves in a game 5. I'll be honest, I did not think we were getting there. After Carol were able to send us to an overtime, I was almost 100% confident they were taking that overtime as well. But, hey, this is why we say confidence is king, because apparently I had confidence in Carol, but they did not. A little bit overextended, and it has costed them potentially the series, because BVU, they find a second life here in game number 5.
And game number 5 underway then as well as the Riser. He can finish this one off directly. It's on his platter, and it will gobble it up nice and cleanly.
All right, yeah, this is one of those plays. You see it a million times ahead, and you literally go, I will run a million simulations, and in one of those million, I'll maybe be able to save that. Beautiful passing play, beautiful shot from Carol, and a hell of a way to get themselves on the board here. 12 seconds into it. BVU, they're still not out of this by any stretch of the imagination. They need one good goal, and they're right back into it. With the chaos being caused on defense here, they just need to put a shot on target. They need a follow-up for Dylan as well. He puts one just a little bit wide, and it probably should have been a second shot in order to secure that one, but instead, BVU will have to walk away from the first minute without a goal, or maybe not. Oh, but Carol, they'll find a second instead. Tally on another one, and Carol, they'll secure themselves even further.
Carol, where is this coming from? They're a different beast in game number 5. They're coming out with everything, all guns blazing, and an entire arsenal to back it up as well. Carol, they're starting this game off phenomenally, and not just a kickoff goal, not just so simple that you can't actually draw a conclusion from. It is they're laying down the law, and BVU, they've not really got a lot to say about it, but they've got 4 minutes to try and formulate some words.
They're going to try their best here, and they absolutely do have the ability. And oh no, I was going to say, BVU, they need to just try and slow the bleeding right now. It feels like, unfortunately, this cut has begun to open. I don't know if they're going to be able to find enough bandages to wrap it up here. 3-0 in favor of the team that, in my opinion, they should have won this already. Again, Carroll had so much momentum going into Game 4, so maybe that's why Game 5 is looking like this. Maybe they're just a little bit angry that they're even here in Game 5.
Perhaps. It just feels to me that they are wild. This entire game is going to be wild, Bassad. Strap in, we're in for a ride, because they're not out of this by any stretch of the imagination.
No, they are not, and I'll be honest, I was a little bit out of it on that one there. I looked over to the other screen to try and check, who got the assist on that last play, and by the time I look over to see the replay, I look back, and we've got another replay on our clean feed here. So, all right, BVU, you guys will stay in this one. 4 minutes to go, and we've already had 4 goals here, so looking like the chaos indeed is going to reign supreme, and if the volatility continues this way, we might just be heading to yet another overtime.
I noticed that my brain is not working at full capacity because I struggle to pull these strings together and make it make sense for everybody back at home as well. But BVU, I'll make it very simple. They've got, oh my word, some fortunacy on their side, in great position, I guess. But they've got 3 minutes and 20 seconds to get themselves 2 goals. And then they force an overtime at the very minimum.
I will say this is a statistic that I'm only realizing now. The 2 games that Carroll have won in this series is because they got the lead. Carroll have yet to blow a lead in this game. The 2 ones that BVU have won have been where they were able to find themselves a lead and just kind of add on more goals and eventually just wean away at the absolute pressure that Carroll will try to find. 3 minutes to remain here. BVU, you got to break the streak. You got to flip the script here at this point and change his entire series and put it on its head halfway through this game. And if Carroll find another one, it's going to be an even taller task to climb. 4-1 in favor of Carroll University.
That's icy, though, by Visions. The pop-up nicely in a position where they want to get baited in, or they don't want to get baited in, but they have to get in there and try and challenge them. But he knows that Visions can be quicker to it, so Visions it pops in and nicely arcing it all the way over the top, and the touch from Dylan slacking into the center. Carroll, they want to extend their lead even more.
Oh, they could have right there, but a whiff in front of the net is going to cost them dearly because it's going to now allow, well, I was going to say it'll allow BVU to transition the other way, but maybe they put too many cooks in the kitchen there, throwing all 3 of them at offense, and as a result, Carroll are very easily able to turn this the other way. This is open in the center. Vision just needs to get back to it, and indeed they will. 5th goal goes in for Carroll, and the floodgates have opened, I fear. The question is now, can BVU close them?
Sky with a pre-flip that wasn't even necessary. Yeah, he had a little bit of boost to get his car going, and Carroll, they managed to get a 4-goal lead here. BVU, I'm not too sure what happened, and Carroll, they don't know what happened there either, nor do we. It's an odd play. It seemed like a fake, but nobody was actually waiting for the ball to end up in their lap.
Unfortunately, that we can theorize all day, but the reality is that this is a 6-1 lead here as Riser finds another. Listen, I'll give credit to Riser. This is Jacob's goal. What is this pass?
Oh, preserving the flip till the final second and then getting that tiny tap on it to send it around the outside of the opponent. Exactly what you like to see. And BVU, I think it already might be out of hand. I don't want to call things too early, but I don't necessarily think I'm speaking out of turn here. 6-1 lead. Surely Carroll do not blow this away.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I might disagree a little bit, but yeah, with about 1:45 left here, it's going to take a miracle if BVU want to try and turn this one around. And I can tell that my brain has also checked out and said that this series is done and dusted, because as soon as you said round the outside, I immediately started thinking M&M. And, well, I think that these guys are probably going to be thinking M&Ms as well, because this is a pretty sweet victory here for all of Carroll. Being able to save that goal as well is just ridiculous. 1:23 left here at this point. Carroll, they can just do a victory lap, or maybe they can go down to South America as well. Brazil in favor of this squad.
Oh, Vision's coming out with toxicity. What a saving them at 7-1. Come on now.
I'm
Should
not
be-
sure if that was an accident, though. They did say sorry immediately afterwards. It could have been. Listen, I've been there before where you accidentally quick chat and go, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be toxic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mass, I'm trying to throw people under the bus here, okay? Will you let me, please?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Want to say it back? Come on, BVU. I know you want to. Just say it.
I mean, hey, man, listen, if you can just fight. Yeah, there it is. Yes. Oh, they're fighting back. All right.
Classic.
I got to appreciate that. I don't think this is actual toxicity. I think it's just a little bit of banter back and forth there. And, yeah, you got to appreciate that. BVU showing they got a little bit of left in them. With about a minute left, they really do just need to show that. Just be able to close this one out with a little bit of dignity, and getting the last goal of the game will probably do exactly that. 1 minute to go, and at this point, it's a formality, Hyperia. Carroll, they have managed to find themselves an overwhelming victory here in game number 5.
Well, a lot of power on the pinch as well, but Carroll, they've managed to crank it up another notch. However, it already seemed like they were working at full capacity, but it seems that they have another notch that they can utilize. That's scary for any opponent that Carroll's going to face on later down in this season. They really lay it down thickly here upon BVU. Have got nothing to say except lather me up.
Unfortunately, I think this is going to be one of these things where BVU, they're going to want this revenge later on in the season.
Good shot.
Brilliant shot. Definitely not intentional, though.
No, I mean, maybe it's his own goal.
Yeah, no, that is intentional. No, you're right, you're right, you're right.
So let's call it intentional. You know, Vision's trying to maybe play 4v2, see whether they can get a comeback. I don't know.
I think at this point, no, I think he's just playing a little bit of banter here and there.
Well, actually,
no way. If they end up making this comeback because they decided to mess around and shoot on their own neck, yeah, no, they deserve the win at that point.
I mean, Visions was also arcing his car for the shot on his own net. I even think with Visions trying his absolute darndest to get this back to a tied game, they're not going to manage to.
Oh,
Visions
they're not trying.
Yeah.
They're not trying their darndest. You can see. They went for kickoff. Like, at that point, you kind of know that they're like, nah, we're going to finish this one out right here, right now. And Hyperia, they have done exactly that. Carroll, they just need to let this one hit the ground, and they will move on to take the series. Game number 5. We asked for one all day, and it finally arrived.
There we go, Carroll. It's a blowout in game number 5, but hey, I'm not going to complain. We got it. We ended up there anyway. I don't care how it goes after that.
Yeah, listen, man, Game 5 is Game 5, and not only that, but I gotta say, this was impressive for Carroll, a team that looked like they were a little bit up and down. Their consistency really did leave them vulnerable at many different times. To see them come into Game 5 and go, hey, you won an overtime over us that we don't think you should have won, so guess what? Here comes our wrath. And they just kind of leave it all out on the pitch there. Fantastically done to Carroll. Seriously. An offensive showing that is just unbelievable. So congratulations to Carroll University on taking the victory and also concluding the night. Hyperia, fortunately, that is the last series of the day for us, my friend.
Oh, it's always unfortunate when it has to come to an end, but you always want to look back at the positives and the fun we've had along the way. Don't be sad that it ended. Be glad that it happened.
And also be glad that it's actually not technically the end of the night for everybody here. It's only the end of the night for the B stream. We're going to throw you guys over to the A stream here where there's going to be even more Rocket League action. I believe we're leaving you guys in the capable hands of possibly Hale Monkey Man and Grant CFO after this. Not really sure, but
nuclear.
Ooh, okay. Well, let's see how they do, and let's throw you guys over to that channel. We're not going to waste any more time. Thank you so much for tuning in here, the NECC2 channel. My name is Bastion the Past. That is Hyperia over to the side. We also want to shout out the people behind the scenes that were helping us out here today. Narwhal, I believe that we also had, I want to say Mago coming through a little bit before. A couple other people, and also, yes, Thomas, and I want to say there's one other person I got to try to... Sam, thank you. Oh my gosh, it was bothering me that I couldn't remember. Thank you to all the people behind the scenes that were helping us out here today. Seriously, couldn't do it without you guys. It really does mean the world to have production that is helping us out like this. Well, the production now is going to send you over to that main channel. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy the rest of the Rocket League. We will see you guys